For anybody who's in the chat room.
Hey, chat room.
Hello.
That was me saying hello with my
howdy chat.
And for those of you who are watching, and all you can see is a little tiny Bobby here, and everybody else's name is Bobby. It's because I figured I'd turn on the stream and let people hang out for a little bit while I, finish setting up the cameras.
So what I'm hearing
carry
is
on.
the lobby. We are Legion.
Yeah.
I'm hearing
it's all Bobby.
Because I didn't turn the sound down in the Twitch room.
Bobby, also known as Agent Smith.
Bobby's announcement for the podcast that he plans to replace all of us with himself doing our shows.
Finally.
The air vents are...
We should totally do that. Oh my god, why haven't we done that yet? Why haven't we switched shows?
Bunch of Frankenburgers.
Hey, April Fool's is coming up.
Like honestly, can we not just like do a little rotate and everybody takes like somebody else's show and hosts it as if it was theirs?
What would be the best thing to do with that?
Like
See,
fun,
you guys have got me distracted now, and I'm not working. What the best way to do that would be we switch around and everybody tries as hard as they can to make fun of that person's show and style and everything.
Can I do Bobby's?
because Bobby's not good at anything other than tearing down people.
Right. Because that's what I do. I try to tear people down to make myself feel better.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Sky of Screens and Ryapel.
Ah, yes, our good friends.
Yes.
Good old real plague.
Love them.
Do we have the Canadian force showing up?
Let me see.
Ryapel is, of course, from Quebec.
Yeah, he's part of the Canadian club.
Canadian club? Why does that make me think of Boy George?
It should make you think of whiskey.
It does kind of make me think of whiskey. Maple whiskey? Because, Ryapel brought maple whiskey to Gen Con, and we had some together. It was very tasty.
If I ate all your flapjacks, would you say?
Flapjack stealer.
Yeah, that is. You've gone too far, sir.
Okay.
Oh, hey, well, I have I guess a suggestion or a thing, I guess, to gush about, so to speak. Have you guys seen the videos for the different songs in the Scandroid album?
Nope.
They made a bunch of lyric videos that a lot of them are pretty cool. They have kind of like an arcade theme or something. But the one for the song, I think it's just called "I Walk These Empty Streets Alone" is the whole song title, maybe. That is probably now my favorite music video of all time ever. Partly because I really like the song, but the video is just really, really awesome.
I'll have to check. I'll have to check it out because, as you know, he's I really like most of his work. So
I don't watch music videos anymore.
Album, another Scandroid album. Hey, Chummer Jim.
Ever since Total Request Live went off the air, I just don't watch music videos anymore. I just can't bear it.
I never really got into watching music videos as a kid because I lived out in the country and we didn't get any cable or anything. We got like 3 channels barely. And so I didn't really watch music videos at all until much later in life.
It reminds
My
me.
wife has all these references. Sorry, go ahead.
It reminds me of one of those 90s games. One in particular, I can't remember the name of it. Where you're like on this alien planet and you're like trying to escape.
Wolf gets to be Skype default avatar because I didn't have time to find anything else.
Nice. I mean, I'll take it. That's fine. I'll be the default.
Yeah.
Opti literally linked you a picture to use for him in Skype chat.
Oh, did he?
But
Let's see. I have my.
I literally did.
Okay.
But ignore that. It's fine.
And you can use the standard background picture for me in the chroma key, Bobby.
Or you can just pick like a wolf.
You guys are gonna have green backgrounds because I have even less time to work on your chroma key. So
it takes like, never mind.
Well, I have 8 people to set up, sir.
Why do you think I stopped in the middle of my jibe and said
Are you guys
fine? Okay.
Are you guys still being able to see me in
Yep.
Skype?
In Skype I can, and I'll yeah.
You know what this is?
It says Shadowrun on it. I'll describe it for our
That,
stream.
you know what
Shadowrun 1990 update flyer.
Oh.
And I would. It's got like. It's like pretty cool for like a free deal, but it's like essentially advertising what's coming up. Like if you were in 1989 and you're advertising what's coming up in Shadowrun.
Oh.
In particular, though, I want you to see this. This is a writing of Aaron the Scribe.
Ooh, it's titled "Humans and the Cycle of Magic."
And it is a blurb about Aaron the Scribe as the keynote speaker to the Young Elven Technologist dinner. And it's a fascinating read, and I got it pretty much for that. Well, because it's collectible, but also basically for that. And there's like a bunch of other cool like little excerpts from things like that.
Where's all this weight coming from?
Pretty excited about that. Probably Christmas dinners and things.
Nice. That's really cool.
I need strength gear.
When we gave away that Denver box set, I had to kind of look through and make sure everything was in it, and saw the original little FOSTA catalog was in the box for it. So
I'm gonna have to like give up one of my backpacks.
Rio Bell's going to Origins. That makes me so happy.
yay!
Oh, is he nice?
Give up 2 of my backpacks. No, that doesn't give me that much. So just one of my backpacks.
What kind of
What's this about
backpacks are you talking
backpacks?
about, Joe?
No. My Skype keeps switching. Let me know if that
It's
happens.
an empty chair for the Bobby that is Joe,
Yeah.
and but I hear the voice that is talking about backpacks. Strangely,
I stopped using Skype for my game recording because every 20 to 30 minutes my push to talk would change.
Oh no.
I hate Skype. I don't know why people use it.
So I'd be talking all this stuff, giving descriptions or everything, and nobody would be responding to me. And then they're hearing me talking to my daughter and stuff. It's like, wait, what's going on?
The
Oh no, wait, that's not you. That's away. That's Oz. I can see him fixing a drink.
I'm gonna switch to Discord soon once I can figure out why it doesn't like me. Shut up, Damian.
So
I think Oz
Oh,
was
wait till
using
you
it for Jackbox, weren't you, Oz?
Using what?
Discord video?
Yes.
all right, Oz. So what beverage have you made for yourself?
I didn't make anything. I just poured whiskey on ice. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Some Jack Daniels. I didn't feel like making a cocktail. We're about to go on air. I don't have time to mix.
I've got a ye old Guinness in an Origins glass here.
Ooh, nice.
I have mostly Irish cream with some coffee. Actually, mostly just air in here now, in a Quick Trip mug.
In a Quick Trip mug. Classy.
Yep, and then my Madtown Nut Brown Ale, which is a local brewery. Actually, the brewery is Ale Asylum in Wisconsin. I'm not sure if they export out of the state or not. They're really good though.
For
So
those of you who
Madtown
might
Nut
be
Brown
for those of you who might be tuning in and getting ready, we are also getting ready, as you can see. So don't think that if you weren't here right when we started the stream, don't think that this is our year-end wrap-up. We're just getting things going and situated. We appreciate your patience.
Patience is a virtue.
It's fine. We're just hanging out, talking
I'm
about
pretty
the
sure.
brews that we're drinking.
I'm pretty sure all of these people are very well aware of the delays.
If they watch your show, they are.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bobby gets hateful when you point it out.
It's true.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything he doesn't know.
So I made some initial attempts to procure the original Universal Brotherhood book for Shadowrun, and it's probably the most expensive Shadowrun book that exists, which
That's
makes me sad.
Hello, Crimson Dude.
Hey, what's up, James?
And
I
Big
bought
Cave
that
Monster.
on Drive-Thru RPG, and the quality of the PDF was horrible.
I bet.
Ugh.
It was so hard to read any of the player handout portion of it because it was just so faded.
I have that PDF, but I'm kind of on a quest to buy all the hard copies. I've gotten everything from 1989 now. I know. I'm moving on.
My wife's making us get rid of stuff, not acquire new stuff.
That's kind of what we're doing as well, which is how Opti ended up with a large box of old Shadowrun books from me.
So if anybody wants like a 4th edition D&D books, I've got a ton I need to get rid of.
No, I have plenty of 4th edition D&D stuff that I will never use again.
I have lots of toilet paper already, thank you.
Ooh.
You know, I played D&D 4th probably more than anything else, any other D&D, just because that was what the gaming group that I was in happened to be playing, and I didn't hate it. Like it wasn't terrible at all. We had a
No, I don't mind it. It does what it does fairly well, as long as you don't try to do other stuff.
Yeah, if you played 3.5, I assume, you know, I mean, that was your favorite sweet spot, then I imagine that you probably have a bad time with it. But
I don't want to talk too much bad about it. It's just not for me, I guess. It doesn't feel like D&D to me. I don't like it, but if people have fun playing with it, it's a great system. So awesome. I'm not going to try to ruin their fun.
I would love that.
It makes me go ick. And I would still play it. I would still play it if I was playing with good friends.
Hashtag next.
4th edition is where I caught the podcast for the Penny Arcade crew, and they got me into podcasting. So I have to blame 4th edition D&D on me even podcasting now.
There was one 4th edition ADD, not ADD, D&D 4th edition D&D podcast that I listened to for quite some time. I'm gonna actually look them up to make sure I get the name right, because I don't want to embarrass myself like I did once before when I was recording with some people for a podcast earlier this month. You don't have to just wait and not talk while I look it up.
We're all waiting in bated breath.
Now all I can think is Crit Squad, because it had crit in the name.
Critical Hit?
Maybe?
Critical Hit, yeah, I know of them.
They were like
part of the Major
pretty much
Spoilers podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's Critical Hit, yeah.
They did a really good job, telling stories with it and everything, and I got a good feel for the system by listening to that, and between that and what I read, which is honestly one of the biggest reasons I listen to and check out different podcasts is, actual plays at least, is to get a good idea of what a different system is that I'm interested in checking out. So it's definitely a fun one to listen to. I think they're still going. But I haven't listened in quite some time.
All right, I think I'm almost ready to go here.
We've now been reduced to 2 Bobbies.
I fear the worst for Chris from Crit Squad.
Yeah, he probably won't be here. but we've left a nice little cozy home. And the worst part is, if he shows up, it's going to ruin my day because I just aligned everything.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I'm tempted to remove him from the call just so that I don't get angry.
Well, yeah, Critical Hit on episode 432 was their last release.
All right, so
They've been doing it for a long time.
last thing. Oh, so I said I was gonna let me look at this one last thing, and then we'll get going. Thank you guys for being so patient.
Whatever. Chummer Jim is asking if having a beard is a requirement to be part of the SCN.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps.
You can't see Wolf has this big old beard too.
Well, it's not a requirement. It does allow you to be an on-screen personality.
The beard houses the personality.
Facial hair of some sort.
Man, that's supposed to work. Why didn't it work? No.
Karma.
Download.
Just jamming out to music.
Oh no. We're all moving around.
You're back. I had to open chat to get that image. Let's do this last thing, hopefully.
Oh, we should talk about Bright.
You're not allowed to talk about it. We haven't watched it until tomorrow, until the
We're
1st.
supposed to have not seen it until Monday.
We can
night.
talk about its existence,
Yeah.
but we
And
can't
then
talk
we're gonna
about
watch
it.
right?
Everyone else is talking about Bright because
Yeah.
they have seen it and we have been waiting to.
We're holding off.
Wow, it was big. That was a big D.
I got your big D.
Yeah.
Don't encourage him, Gardemanger. And or you guys.
So, can we say that it had 11 million viewers in the first 3 days?
I was really surprised.
Spoiler alert.
Is that a spoiler?
No.
Critics have slammed it, and people watching it apparently love it. So
Yeah.
That never
Speaking
happened.
as someone who didn't get the memo that we were supposed to wait until Monday to watch it, I thought it was excellent.
Well, I think you're okay because
You can
were
certainly
part of our-
You can certainly
plans.
tune in and watch it again if you'd like.
I think Rotten Tomatoes had it at like 32 or 38%, and like
Mhm.
people who watched it had it at like 89 or something like that. Like,
Yeah, I saw like 30 and 90.
Are you
Yeah.
implying
Like
that
the
the
story.
reviewers on Rotten Tomatoes didn't watch it?
No.
I'm in-
No,
I'm
they
implying
just
that-
like it because they
Don't-
probably have taste in film.
No.
I don't.
I have to wait. until.
I'm really
Which is,
confused
of
at the
course,
comment
a
that I was
negative
just made.
quality.
All right. I'm gonna cut us off because it's finally time for us to start. And I want to have like music to play, but I think I'm not going to.
yeah, you should roll that cool video.
Okay. Let me try something really fast. then.
Yeah.
Hey, Joel.
Roll that
Good
beautiful
conversation.
beach.
Pro Tools classes, so I taught him how to use Pro Tools and sold him some stuff. He doesn't look anything like the guy in the commercial with the dog because he doesn't want to be noticed for that, but
All right, here we go.
Anyway.
I'm about to start us off, so stop. Just shush. What? That didn't work.
False start.
No stream boss, Bobby.
Where is it? Oh, I should hit the record button on this thing right here too. Almost didn't record our thing.
That also happens to me all the time.
Bobby doesn't record your thing.
open
Oh,
the stream.
I always.
I don't
do.
think we could do a karaoke stream without having problems with getting sued, maybe.
Yeah. All right, here we go. I'm about to do our
songs.
our thingy intro thingy. All right, here we go.
Hey, Chris is on his way in, by the way.
You're lying, are you?
No, I'm not.
Oh my God, guys, go get yourself a snack because this is gonna take another 30 minutes.
Oh, thank God I don't have epilepsy. Jeez.
Yeah, I forgot to mute you guys while I was playing that intro. Good thing it was a false start. We're gonna have to wait.
Oh my God.
Again, welcome to my life on Join the Anarchy.
Can we even do karaoke? Can we do that?
I still have your like, damn, I just killed all your wage slaves stuck in my head.
Good.
I can't imagine there's any way that wouldn't result in copyright infringement claims.
Well, I mean, like, who cares about that? I'm talking about like getting it to like
It's
line up
parody.
and making sure it's on like, the
Yes.
right.
Yes. Yeah, from a practical standpoint, we could totally do it. From a legal standpoint, we should totally not.
I don't
Unless-
like your attitude, Cliff.
I don't like getting sued for.
Now
not
look
gonna
here,
get
we are all
sued.
career
You're just gonna
criminals.
get muted.
Evil record companies.
We just call it parody.
You could still get sued for that. Never mind. It's copyright is dumb.
Oh, Gordon Monge is pooping on my parade.
If the Shadowcasters
Verifying
Network
this
is incredibly
illegality.
successful, we can just buy
A license, yeah.
licenses with those like the
ASCAP BMI blanket license.
Yes, exactly. And we could just play whatever we want.
Yeah. Then we could do karaoke and all kinds of stuff. We could do Alanis Morissette songs for our intros.
Which is what I've been
Why
dying
haven't we
for.
done that yet?
Because we don't have an ASCAP BMI license.
Well, isn't that what we formed the network for stuff like that?
Hey, it's on the to-do list, okay?
Yeah.
There's a skill tree of
there's a guy
success,
below,
and we haven't
right?
built up enough EXP.
Somebody put points at ASCAP.
So you said he's coming, right, Damian?
Yeah, he said, yeah, totally fine. Okay, BRT, whatever that means.
Be right there.
Supposed to mean be
Be right
right
there.
there.
Right there.
But what he really meant was nothing. Got nothing.
Right is really terrible.
First
Yes.
of all, sir, how dare you?
Hey, I have to see it. He's the one who typed it.
Let's see if I can take some steps to make this this happen faster. When the time comes.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Apparently he had it for some reason. He was thinking PST.
Oh well, it's a then we're lucky to have him at all.
Like, oh shit.
Bobby requires time, BRT.
Yes, that would work.
Yep, you win. Chubber Jim wins.
He says in 3.
Ha!
There's 2 Optis.
Whoa!
I
Doppelganger.
have.
Now would be a good time to pop out the chat and see how everybody's doing.
Oh, hey, Opti, I finally saw the what's Flight of the Conchords? I caught the reference for your rap from the stream from, was it this year or the year before? I think it was the year before because Rusty was there.
Last year. Yeah.
You're
yeah,
thinking of the podcast, our first podcaster panel that we did.
Right.
Something about hip
Did
hop.
you watch the whole thing, or just that song?
Well,
Did you watch the show or just see a music video?
I watched a bunch of episodes of the show,
Nice.
and then I saw
show's
some
amazing.
stand-up.
Yeah.
I really liked most of them, and some of them was like, were like, why am I watching this? And then a month later, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's why I'm watching this.
So for the benefit of the chat who's hanging out with us while we're waiting to get started, you guys, we're gonna throughout the show we're gonna do Q&A. We could answer your questions now if you want, as if you don't care about the answers being published on any kind of a podcast. But throughout the show, we'll I'll periodically grab questions from people in the chat room. Hopefully, I'll do a good job of grabbing them and recording them so that we can get to them at some point. But so feel free to ask questions. The best way for you to get your question answered, for me to see it, is to precede your question with like a bunch of question marks, like 4 or 5 question marks. It just makes it easier for me to see.
He's having some technical difficulties. He will be here shortly.
Yeah, that's cool.
I do have to say my favorite part of Flight of the Conchords, though, is probably not the 2 guys, but the guy who plays their manager.
Their manager, yeah.
And he's also probably my favorite out of the Voltron series on Netflix.
I don't think it's the same dude, but it was the same dude who played Korg in Thor Ragnarok.
Yes, same guy. Yes. Korg. He's also Koran on.
Was he
Voltron.
Koran on Voltron?
Yes, totally.
I thought they sounded similar, but something told me I looked him up and it wasn't. But you could be totally right.
Really?
Gardemange wants to know what you're eating,
partially
Opti.
crushed by that.
How long ago did he ask that? Oh,
Just now.
I ate. Well, I'm done eating it now. But I had this big, humongous slice of pecan pie that my folks made. It was luscious.
Rhys Darby is the actor who does Koran. Yes, and he's totally the guy from the band manager in Flight of the Conchords. And let me check to see if he's in the credits for.
Because if so, like he's on 3 of my favorite things. That's
I have as close a thing to a crush on him as possible for a heterosexual guy, I guess. I don't know. Is that too much information?
That's exactly the right amount of information.
Okay. Yeah, I like him. I will watch anything he does.
I feel that way about Kevin Zarnicki.
Me too.
We just hung out last night on the Sixth World Podcast. Episode's released tomorrow. Check it out.
It's a good episode.
Can we stop being romantic over Kevin Zarnicki?
Yeah, it makes me.
No.
I literally can't.
We will try for your sake.
I hope he's not here. He's not.
That would just feed the ego.
You're just egging us on, aren't you? The things I just held myself back from saying there.
So is it the same guy or no?
Yes. Oh, wait. I didn't find out for sure if he was in Thor. I'm trying to find that. I think it would be easier to find.
I think Gardemange is actually suggesting no, which is why I'm.
It totally sounded like him, but I guess that's, partially just the New Zealand accent.
I guess apparently everybody from New Zealand sounds the same.
I've been watching a movie called Boy, I think, that Vox had me start watching. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I've been liking that a lot. It's also in New Zealand, but totally different.
We're scared.
Not at all a cyberpunk-related film, so.
Okay, I'm here.
You made it.
Yay!
Okay.
All right, you have a couple seconds to catch your breath because I gotta rearrange some camera stuff, and then we'll get started.
This is actually what I was excited about. I was so happy that you came in to ruin Bobby's layout.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad I can destroy everything.
Yeah.
Pacific Coast, man. Just blame it on California.
We usually do.
So you want to know
I
something?
don't really
funny,
know what
though,
that means.
Is Taika Waititi, who was the guy who played Korg, actually worked with Jermaine Clement, who was from Flight of the Conchords, a bunch of times, which is weird because they're both from New Zealand. He was also
Oh, that guy, yes.
Tom
He's awesome.
Kalmaku in Green Lantern, which nobody remembers. That's fine.
Taika Waititi is also in that film called Boy, I think, that I was referring to, oddly enough. Apparently everything from New Zealand is related in some way, just one step apart.
I mean, there's like 7 people that live there. So.
And they all have hairy feet.
Oh, it was a Hobbit joke.
What?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, I got you.
okay.
I got you.
I was about to say, like, oh shit, New Zealanders are about to kill us.
Yeah, I was like, that
Throwing
was
it down to the New
bizarrely
Zealanders.
and specifically
Very
racist.
specific.
Wait.
Yes, What We Do in the Shadows was awesome. If you haven't seen that, watch it. And
Yeah, that's a good one.
Probably my
there's
favorite
nothing I could
comedy.
say that could possibly prepare you for it.
No.
just watch it.
Hey, thanks for
Somewhere I'd
the
be amazed.
thanks for
You
the
follow,
follow,
Wow.
Ninja
Yes.
Leor. Despite
We'll
us
put a
not
mark on our
getting
hopes there.
started, I appreciate you sticking it out, hoping that
It's all Chris's
maybe
fault
next
for being
time.
late.
It is actually 100% all my fault.
Yeah. But that's okay because you know
Bobby's
what?
fault, but the focus of the ire because you showed up the latest. So
Yeah, I'm
That's
used
fair.
to receiving the brunt of the ire, so it's okay for you to blame it on me.
I mean, look,
Well-
look at me. I don't even have the chroma key filter on. It's taken 5 seconds to put a picture on there.
You know what? To be
Yeah.
fair,
Okay.
I could have been working on that the whole time we were
You know-
waiting.
Really, though, this is Austin's fault.
Yeah. Let's blame Austin. He's not here.
Yeah, right?
I like
He's stuck in a blizzard.
He's what?
He's stuck in a blizzard. Literally, he's in Illinois right now.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well,
Blizzards.
Hey, Snow, you know what that is, Oz?
I hear it's something that's really fucking annoying, and I want nothing to do with it.
It's when
It's
pieces
not
of the
great.
sky begin falling.
It made me take an extra hour to do something today. So
Yeah, no. No.
It's nice. It's nice to visit, but you don't want to live there.
Never.
You know, it is currently nice and toasty in Miami.
I hate you right now.
Snow
and-
should be like the beach, something you get in your car and drive to, and then leave when you're done.
Hey, Bobby, do you have a list of all the things that Jason Hardy has spoiled as far as what's coming up next year?
Sort
I want to
of.
know what I can talk about and what I can't.
Just you. That doesn't ever stop you anyway.
It does. I guess it's true.
You know what we
I mean,
could do?
like,
I
if
thought
I-
about
if I
this
said
last night while
something-
I was doing the Six World podcast, and Kevin was on there wondering what he could talk about, and I was like, you know what we should do is we should just on our website have like a copy of the NDA and just get all of our viewers to be NDA'd. Then we can just talk about whatever we want.
The legal ramifications of that are
Yeah, I'm sure that's I'm sure
terrifying.
that's sound, legally sound. Excuse me.
I will. You know what? I'll spoil something today, because you know what? I realized if they fire me now, then they'd be on the hook for an awful lot of word count at the beginning of next year. So
Leverage.
I feel like
Very good.
they'd be screwed to have to like throw that on the other freelancers. Like I got a really big chunk of stuff coming up this year because I couldn't not say yes to a bunch of it.
All right, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jump into it. I finally got all this everything situated, and we're gonna get going. Chris is here. We're ready.
I was here on time.
Yes, Chris is here on time. This was all my fault. And
The record show.
I'm gonna stop and start this thing again, and then yeah. So here we go, and. All right, hello everybody. We are here, and we welcome to the 2017 Shadowrun Podcasters Content Creator Year-End Wrap-Up in Review Wrap-Up. I feel like we've been doing this for many years, and we don't like have an official name for what this thing we do every year is actually called. And
End of the year wrap up.
At one point, it was called like the like end of the year multicast, and then now it was like a wrap up, and then it was like a retrospective.
yeah, first one ever was Tinner's idea.
Yes,
And,
and
we've been
that's
keeping
exactly
it going ever since.
Yeah, we're glad to keep the tradition alive. It's a thing we like to do every year. Get as many podcasters who do stuff with Shadowrun or just content creators. Because when I began, I wasn't a podcaster. I was just on YouTube, and just get content creators together to talk about Shadowrun and what they've been doing and what's coming up. So let me start by going ahead and going along here. We've got a whole group of people here, and I'm actually really pleased to see several of us, of the people here who, or at least a few who haven't ever been before. So that's really exciting. And let's start. I'll go around, and to my right, if you're watching live, it'll make sense. I'll go clockwise. And those of you listening at home on the podcast, from whoever posted this that you're listening to it with, you don't know what I'm talking about. But Oz is sitting right next to me on the stream, and Oz of Join the Anarchy show on Twitch. Say hi, Oz.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing well, and I hope you are as well.
I'm excited to be here. It's
yes.
my first one.
Yes, Oz for the first time. I can hardly believe it. You came into our lives full force. So it seems like you've been around forever. Then Mr. I don't know where I'm going with that. Mr. Johnson is sitting next to Oz, and of the Arcology podcast. Who doesn't know who Mr. Johnson is? Say hi, Mr. Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Somebody had to do it.
I wanted that joke so bad.
Sorry, I put you at the end. Next up is Wolf of Deniable Assets, also new here this year, talking to us on this particular show that we do. Say hello.
Oh, Johners, glad to be here.
Yes, glad to have you. And going again clockwise, so we're going to come up back around. Next is Chris of Crit Squad fame. How's it going, Chris?
Fame. Doing good.
Well, you know, in at least in our little circle, you guys have also like exploded onto the scene. Like nobody can stop talking about Crit Squad, I feel like. So it's good.
I still don't know what to do with that information except this.
Yeah, smiling.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's all you got to do.
Appropriate response, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Next to him, again for the first time, I think you weren't here last year, Joe, were you?
No, I was not.
So Joe, oh yeah, I saw in Discord earlier you said you've been trying to crash this party for years now, right?
Yes, I have been.
And Joe,
Bouncers keep getting.
Yeah,
Did you ever ask?
I think mostly it was timing issues.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
I
because
feel
you
like
were
we would've
totally
said
welcome.
yes.
Joe
Honors-
almost couldn't
honors
even make it
first.
tonight, so I believe it. Joe of Relative Dimension, the Relative Dimension podcast, the actual play. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It is going well.
That's good to hear. And next to him, everybody's favorite crow shaman and spreader of information, Opti of the Neo-Anarchist podcast. How's it going, Opti?
What's up, players? I'm doing well. I'm doing excellent. So good.
I'm so glad to hear it. And finally, last and definitely least, is Damian of the Violent Life podcast. Damian, I don't care. Let's move on.
My favorite thing about this whole group is the love.
Yeah. Just
That's
kidding.
what I
How's
have
it
for
going,
Bobby.
Damian? How
Love.
are you doing up there in the Great White North?
It's great. I'm happy to be here.
White.
This is my third year of doing this now.
Cool.
So
Glad.
I feel like a veteran.
See, if we let Damian in, we would have let
Anyone, literally anyone can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my third time doing it as well. And it's fun. We enjoy doing this every
funny.
year.
It's funny. I was gonna say like this is actually a really small subsection of like everybody that we could have potentially gotten on here.
Well, I'm very happy, but
So
surprised
much.
that we got this many people on, because we this year the end of the year snuck up on us quite a bit. We've been so busy, and I think it was Opti who messaged some of us and said, "Oh, hey, it's like almost the end of the year. Are we gonna do that end of the year thing?"
Oh God, yeah.
And we were like, "Oh, we should probably do that." And then I said, "I've got to go on vacation," and I forgot to ask somebody else to plan it. So I came back from vacation like yesterday, and I was like, "So you guys are finished planning this, right?"
I think this is the second year in a row that I didn't have to really do anything to make this happen.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice.
Last year I took over forcefully, like I tend to do, and things have been going poorly ever
took
since.
Over. And what it really means is that like me and Cliff were like, yeah, you want to put all the work in? Go right ahead.
Sucker.
I'm happy to let Bobby do all the intros and things like that. All I get to do is talk. That works with my schedule just fine.
Right. Exactly. But I, being a control freak, I was happy to do it. Well, I wouldn't say happy, but it, you know.
He has a psychological need
Yeah.
to make it happen.
A compulsion to do it. Yes.
Exactly.
It's negative quality.
Right.
Just
But
agree on that.
enough talk about me, and let's talk about the whole reason we're here is to, in part at least, to look back on some stuff, talk about Shadowrun and look back on this year in Shadowrun and this year in our the stuff we worked on, but Shadowrun in general. And I want to talk about what we've seen in like product releases in 2017. Last year, in 2016, I remember we talked about this. There's a ton of stuff coming out, and this year there hasn't been quite as much, but definitely some big ones. Back in May, we got Forbidden Arcana, which was
Has that been that long ago?
yeah, actually, it really has, and that was big. Like, do you remember everybody was really mad because it was another Magic source book, right?
If you mean everybody, if you mean Reddit, then yes. But
Right.
everybody else who wasn't Reddit was like, this book is rad.
Yeah,
So-
It was a really awesome book. Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
It was good. I liked it a lot.
It was definitely
Go ahead.
just definitely a good addition to the 5th edition Splat books. Lots of great material to mine from that. I'm still getting good stuff out of it.
Was it the first time that we in Shadowrun's like edition history, in Shadowrun's history, that in one edition we've gotten 2 source books that relate to like one area, like 2 Magic source books? Is that the first time that that's happened?
I don't even think so, no.
No,
No idea.
I have no idea either. So I was just curious.
I mean, yes, I do feel for some of the people like why don't we have a Technomancer book yet?
Sure.
But
Yeah, that's fair, but, like, I
awesome
feel like-
stuff. I'm happy with what we have so far. You know.
I feel like by the time that all of the stuff is released, like there will be a pretty decent balance. But right now it seems like there's just more for Magic. And to be honest with you, that's because people really like Magic stuff. Like it's the kind of spooky, cool stuff that everybody likes.
There have been a lot of people.
I'm an apologist now. I need to shut up.
There are a lot of
I've been
people
working for
who've
the man
been-
too long.
A lot of people have been complaining, and I tend to lean towards this thought as well, that we're getting a little Magic heavy in Shadowrun, and we need to take a break, take a breather, you know.
Can I tell you now? Can I tell you that that's actually being fixed? Like that's actually 100% being addressed, and I think everybody will be happy the next 3-4 releases.
That's great. I know a lot of people will be happy about that. I'm ready. I love
that was
Magic.
generic enough that I don't think I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, we've heard as much, at least on the Sixth World podcast. Some people that we talked to have been saying similar things. So, excited for that. We should talk more about that when we talk about what's coming. Maybe not specifics since you're afraid of getting in trouble, but
Afraid is such a strong word.
In July we got the complete Trog. That was
Not a Magic book.
No. He said with disdain. No, it was not a Magic
Honestly,
book.
yeah, that one has some of the best published writing work that someone that I'm married to has ever written.
He's not biased at all. So
I am somewhat biased, but also I think objectively it's really good stuff.
there was
that
some
she
really
has in
good
there.
writing in that book, and
And it's not just her that did awesome stuff in that book, but bias.
there was some really, really good stuff in that book. It was quite controversial. It was quite controversial, that book, wasn't it?
Was it? I mean, like initially it was. I think before
I
it came
think
out,
some
it was.
people kind of wanted it to be.
Can I peel
don't
behind the curtain just a little bit? Like there was a little bit of a staged walkout for some freelancers who just didn't think that it was going to go a good. We thought that it was just going to be too
On the nose.
We didn't trust that it was going to be handled well, and we didn't want any part of it.
Yeah, and Courtney
but-
was like, "Well, I'll just put in a thing for the contract, and put in a proposal for the parts I want to do, and see what happens." And
Right.
Yeah, but it ended up
she
being
had fun
really
doing her
good.
part of the book.
Yeah, it ended up being really good, and so I'm glad
Well,
for that.
With
Yeah.
Jason Hardy at the helm on something like that, I mean, I kind of expected it to be. I mean, granted, yeah, there's other issues with editing and that sort of thing, but the kind of direct that would make that book awful, I don't think is going to happen on his watch.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess part of that was the discussions that some other freelancers were having. That I was like, if they're going to be on this, I don't want any part of this. That sounds awful. But Courtney was involved in that, and like I think we're all on the same page that we didn't want it to be super racist and awful. But the discussion went like this. It was like, hey, let's call this book The Complete Trog, and we were like, that's like using the N-word. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the assertion, whether true or not, that orcs and trolls are kind of like on purpose representations of minorities in our world. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that was it just felt really weird to us, and so we started saying like, hey, listen, we need to take a lot of care. And then like I had a couple of freelancers go like, no, we don't need to take care. We can just totally call these trogs and like blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, I don't want any part of that. Like the way that you're talking about it, the way that you're like actually, skating close to actual racism yourself as you talk about it, I don't want. But again, I was so surprised to be completely wrong, and I really love the book. So and Cliff's right. Like, there's some great writing. So
Yeah.
I was totally
the book's a
wrong,
great
and I'm totally
culture
glad.
book.
Yeah, it is.
It's not an everyone must have it kind of splat book, but I think if you're just interested in more detail about the world and exploring that, it definitely just adds more interesting shades of color to the setting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The title is a bit crass. I will admit that.
But I think that was kind of the point, though.
Yeah, but again, it's fake crass. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and I think Jason actually does a really good point to your point, Cliff. Like, Jason actually does a really good point of saying this is not an analog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a fantasy deal, and they don't, any similarities to real world races is completely incidental,
Right.
coincidental.
But in November, the most recent source book, anyway, was Dark Terrors, and I think a lot of people are still digesting a lot of the stuff from that book, and that was chock full of some pretty amazing stuff, if I do say so. I think that's been my favorite of the year, and not because of proximity. I don't think. I really think that one was really, really good, full of all the things that go bump in the night in the Shadowrun universe. I like how it hit on so many different terrifying, horrific parts of the Sixth World, with Shadim and bug spirits and CFD and a lot of really major advancements in the lore with in relation to CFD and Neonet and stuff like that. So
The fall of Neonet.
Yeah, and also like criticized for being a magic book, but really wasn't a magic book.
yeah, that criticism doesn't hold a lot of water, I feel like.
I mean, like there's Black Lodge, which is kind of magical, but also just like a group. And then there's like Bug Spirits, which is kind of like, I guess, magical, but again, still not like straight up magic. And then CFD, of course. And then you have Court of Shadow stuff. And then you have Matrix stuff, like Foundation stuff. Then you have ghouls. I mean, you can't really get away from having magic in the Sixth World.
Well, you know what the
Dark
problem with
Terrors
that is? I think that problem is when people have an idea in their head and they're cherry picking their evidence, right? So like ghouls, is that a magic thing or not? Is it because HMHVV is an awakened virus? Does that mean that anything you talk about with ghouls is magic? No, I don't think so. So
yeah, same thing. I mean, if you want to talk about Wuxing, right? Like Wuxing has a lot of magic going on. Is that a magical corporation? No, they just, like everyone else, have magic.
right,
So,
exactly. Yeah. Hate is gonna hate.
Yeah. So suck that, haters.
But Neo
I really don't even care. Like I love the haters too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Neonet did fall though. That's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. and another corp rose to take its place, that's a big deal too.
Well, has it officially risen? I mean, we all see the writing on the wall, but is it?
Yeah, it has. Dark Terrors, I think, named it. What is it?
Spin Global.
Spin Red Global. That's right.
Yeah.
But we still call it Spin Storm. Like
I think
cool.
they were. It was a little weaselly in the description. It said like, oh, right now, it's kind of like holding a seat because who knows what'll happen later, kind of thing. But you know, like I said, the writing's on the wall. And it's pretty obvious. But at least that's the way it read to me, and I may have just misinterpreted it.
Well, I guess consider that a spoiler.
I mean, I was talking with Opti about this on the side. I was like, hey, so it reads kind of like Spin Storm or Spin Global was set up. It was supposed to be set up in another book, but then it wasn't.
Oh, you know what? Oh shoot, yeah, I did muck that up. But I guess not, because it actually happened off camera, because what's that book? Street Lethal was supposed to be released before Dark Terrors.
Right.
And so Dark Terrors assumes that already happened. So I guess mild spoiler, not really.
It's
anyway,
okay.
Not really, 'cause it already happened. We
Don't
got like
worry.
a glimpse into the future.
Nobody listens to these, so.
No, yeah. Gordon Maget is right. Like it was name dropped in Dark Terrors because they got the golden ticket from JRJ.
Yeah, like I said, it's heavily insinuated, yeah. So those are some of the books that have been dropped, but I want to take a second. I'm going to do this a couple of times throughout the show so that we got a lot of people here, and I want to keep things moving. But I want to take an aside and personally, Chris, I've never actually spoken to you before. So,
Hi.
So hello. First of all, my name's Bobby.
Oh, I'm about to run Shadowrun for the first time next year, and I have mainlined all of your videos as a result. I'm still not prepared. I'm just gonna screw it up instead, I think.
That's
Yes,
the
you
way.
will.
That's the way that all of us
That's how
have
it's
done
done.
it.
Yeah.
Are you running it off camera, or are you guys gonna be doing a little?
Oh,
thing?
good Lord, no! I'm not gonna publish my first Shadowrun game.
Come on.
Absolutely not. No, it's just it's actually, well, it's funny because Austin, Crit Squad's GM, he wants to play Shadowrun, and so every day for the last 4 months he's like, hey, so when are you gonna run Shadowrun, Chris?
Right.
Hey, as long as your players like having a Shadowrun game, they'll overlook the mistakes.
Oh, good.
That's good to know.
They're making the exact same mistakes.
So
Right.
Chris, speaking of Crit Squad, why don't you, for those who might be listening to this on various other podcasts or on the stream live and may not have heard of Crit Squad, tell us about Crit Squad.
Okay, so Crit Squad is like, I don't know, actual play plus or something. I don't know what you'd call it. I'm an audio engineer, and I've done some professional sound design and such, and hearing things like the Arcology and the Adventure Zone, and also wanting to be interested or wanting to get into podcasting, I was like, okay, wouldn't it be cool if we did an actual play, but then we cut it so that it was a little bit more just like an improvised audiobook with like the sound effects and the music and all of that. So that's basically what Crit Squad is we try really hard, stay in character 100% of the time.
Right.
And unless it's like, it still feels, at least to me when I listen to it, it still feels like an actual play, but in terms of like the ratio of character and story to, seeing through the curtain to us, it's probably 90-10. Like you get a glimpse of us as the performers, but we try really hard to do everything as our characters, and we're just kind of trying to explore and see what we can do with a story like that. Like, just get the most broken, inexperienced, crappy Shadowrunners we can get, and then see if we can like follow their story.
Right.
With neat sound effects and music, because wow them with special effects, I guess.
So I love that style. That's something that I want to, emulate in a lot of ways in the future. I've always been interested in that kind of thing. I have a couple of questions for you. How long? First of all, when you have a session, when you sit down and play, how long are your sessions?
From load in to tail lights, maybe 6 to 8 hours.
Wow, that's those are big. How often do you play?
Well, every 4 to 6 weeks usually.
Okay.
Like a session will get us. We've started to because a couple of us have like actual day jobs,
Right.
and so like John, who plays Milligram, he works 9 to 5, and after a while he was like, guys, can we not record literally all day when we do? So we've been trying to record more often, but when we sit down and record, we probably get 2 to 3 episodes per session.
Sure, yeah. And how long does it take? So you're doing the editing then?
So Lindsay, who plays Baldy, she does, and this is new, this started with like episode, I want to say 21, few episodes ago.
Sure.
Lindsay started doing like the dialogue edit, so she goes through and basically cuts the story out of our gameplay.
Okay.
And then I do like the sound design and a polish on that sort of at the same time, and then it gets posted.
And how long would you say, how many hours does it take to cut an episode altogether?
There's probably 12 man hours in each episode.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Combined or
It's
each?
several hours, which is why, like, because I used to do it all myself, and it would take me like 2 full days to do it, and then now Lindsay does it, and she's faster at cutting dialogue than I am, so it's probably closer to like 8 total at this point. But
sure. That's and that's the biggest reason that I haven't gotten into doing that kind of thing. The way I designed my actual plays was I wanted to get as close to that kind of feel that you're talking about as possible, but with as little work as possible, because I have almost no time to do that kind of thing, and so I definitely admire the amount of work that's put into those kinds of things. I think you guys do a really great job.
Yeah, I think it's worth it. It's just, but it really is. It's like a TV show or something. You're all that sound design, with no picture to it, it's a little easier because we can pick and choose what we do. But yeah, it's time consuming. But at this point, we can't stop doing it, so I'm stuck.
You're committed now.
Please stop listening, guys. I need a break. No, that's everybody loves it. We hear people talking about it constantly on. People on the Discord are always like, "Ooh, it's Crit Squad Day."
Yeah, and then sometimes I just disappoint all of them.
You'll learn to
Welcome
love
to
that.
the club.
Yeah.
Disappointing people who like you. Great.
Right. Ask Opti, you'll get used to it.
The crushing guilt will gradually build up.
You use the tears of the fans to make the product.
It fuels the edit. Yeah, it greases the tears of the fans grease the wheels of production.
Right. So, as far as product releases, those are the big ones. We've also had the rest of season 7 Shadowrun missions was released this year over the course of the whole year. Some other adventures were released, like Lethal Forces. Does anybody really? And this is not meant to be a funny question. This is meant to be a serious question. Does anybody actually pay attention to when the adventures are released?
No, probably not, because they're usually played first at Origins and Gen Con.
Right.
And that's really where most of the initial excitement happens.
Well, there's stuff like Ripping Reality and Lethal Forces. They are.
Oh, you talking about those, not the missions? You talking about the adventures?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. I do.
Because I feel like I always miss that. That those happened.
Because they're really undersold, like as far as like marketing. Like they get stealth released, which I feel like is not like the best strategy.
You can do that if you're Beyonce. You can't do that if you're Shadowrun.
Right.
Catalyst is like, hey guys, let's see if we can release this one and see if nobody buys it. They're playing like a little mini game with themselves and
which is sad, because one of the ones that got released this year, I think it was this year, was False Flag, and I thought that was a really great adventure by RJ Thomas, and like a lot of really cool stuff happening in Denver. And like Like nobody, like it's a lot of really, really, really big, meta plot stuff that happens, and like nobody talked about it at all because it was not hyped at all. Which is like, it's too bad. It's a really excellent adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to remind a couple of times the chat. If you guys have questions, periodically, I'm going to try to grab your questions. Make sure you precede them with a bunch of question marks so that I can see them easily, and I'll ask questions throughout the show. I noticed that some of my fellow casters here are doing a really good job of insulting me, and thank you, chat room, for defending me. I appreciate that. The Book of the Lost was also released this year. I think that's the last really big one. And all about campaign and adventure hooks related to the tarot deck. So that's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I'd love to know if anyone in chat has actually run anything related to the Six World Tarot.
Eric Damage is in the chat.
Yeah,
he's the Six World Tarot master.
Yeah.
A community hero, Eric Damage. He had a whole project going. I think I've talked about it before. He had a whole project going back when Gen Con of 2016, when it was first available. They had the limited number of the Gen Con release of the tarot deck, and he got one of those. He was there, and he had this whole project going of trying to uncover all the secrets of all the tarot cards. Pretty lofty project. I think he did a lot of really good stuff with that. So that was cool.
I need to buy myself that deck for sure. Just sift through it.
The the one that we haven't heard from much today or this evening, Wolf, of Deniable Assets. So let me look at this thing here. So you guys have your, well, first, why don't you tell everybody who might not be familiar with Deniable Assets, tell them a little bit about Deniable Assets.
Well, we're an in-character kind of an advice informational podcast. The original idea behind it was trying to give new runners in character kind of advice for how to, break into the shadows and that sort of thing. And now it's kind of branched into our Tales series, which is just an ongoing story that we tell each season. And we've got a couple more things coming down the pipeline that are going to evolve the show even further.
Yeah, well, tell us about that.
So, Clean, my partner, who cannot be here tonight due to, wage slave things.
We all
he
know
says
about
hi,
that.
Everybody. Apologizes for not being here.
Hey.
Hello.
But he has started a blog that he is going to be writing little short stories about all of the different characters, little tidbits about maybe who they are, little stories that involve them. They may or may not involve Wolf and Clean, but, who really knows? That's kind of his baby. And we're also planning on a new series that is going to be similar to our Tales, but might not necessarily involve us as characters, but they will be about, we're hoping 30 minutes in length, and they will be full audio dramas with sound effects, different cast members, different characters, music, the whole 9 yards.
I like the sound of this.
Yeah, awesome. I feel like we get a lot of we're seeing a lot more people diving into that, like fully like audio drama, actual play mixes, and you get some really quality stuff out of that.
I'm excited to see more audio dramas that didn't originate as an actual play. I mean, that was previously a very lonely place for my show to be in, so I'm glad to see other people taking it on and trying it out.
Yeah.
Well, and that was one of the original things that Clean and I were talking about whenever we very first started the podcast, was essentially we thought about making it kind of a 1950s style. You sit in front of the radio and it's the story of the week and that sort of thing. And you know, I thought that was a little bit of a lofty goal to start with, and that's how the regular Deniable Asset show got started. And then as we started kind of taking off a little bit, we started incorporating the Tales episodes, and hell, now they're more popular than our regular episodes.
Right. Well, very cool, very interesting. I'm really excited to see about the blog stuff. I don't get a chance to listen to a lot of different stuff because of the time commitment, but I can certainly be sitting around on my iPad reading stuff. So I'm really interested to see that. That'll be cool. So what else happened? What are some other things that happened this year? Conventions. We had Origins and Gen Con, like every year. I actually got to go to both this year, so that was really exciting. What did we get? Did we get anything, any kind of releases or anything at Gen Con or Origins or anything that, like we did, like in 2016, I know we got the Tarot, but did we get anything like that this year?
They usually
The second
have
print of the Tarot.
some book that's releasing at Gen Con and Origins. I don't remember what it was this year.
It was cool to see some of the board game stuff they were doing. I know Dragonfire seems to be going over really well, but I got to see the Sprawl Ops, some of the prototype stuff they had posted there that Dylan Bertolo was working on designing, and picked up a 0 Day and a couple other things. But it's good to see Catalyst doing well in the board game side of things. At least I think they are.
Yeah, yeah. The you can't talk about everybody gets angry if you talk about Dragonfire. What is it?
Well, and I gotta say, I do have this sort of like there's the burning coal thing that's been going for a long time of like where the frag is Sprawl Gangers. What the hell? But,
I never follow the board game stuff very closely. I play it when they come out, but Sprawl Gangers, was that one that they demoed a test of at one point?
We've never even seen enough of a demo, really.
Oh well.
And now that Necromunda's come out again, it's basically like there's really no room for it on the market now again. Just so I think it'll just never happen.
A shame.
I would like it to happen, but you know it won't.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's my prediction for at least. I have no inside information to that effect, and I hope that I'm wrong. I would very like to be wrong on this. Why did he even start talking about this? It's bumming me out now.
Speaking of, let's talk about something more positive. Speaking of Origins, Chummer Jim asks, who all here is going to be going to Origins, or is it too early to tell? I know, unfortunately, I will not be going to Origins. I'm really bummed about it, but this year I'm only able to pick one, and for a laundry list of, or maybe not a laundry list, but for certain reasons, I've decided to go to Gen Con instead of Origins. But I wish I could go to both, because if I could, I would definitely do that.
On the other hand, like it or not, I'm going to both.
I really like it
I very much like it.
Because that was highlight of 2017 was Damian and Bobby meeting in the flesh and becoming one.
I don't like the sound of that.
There for this, I
don't think I was there for this.
You were asleep.
Stephanie came with me to Origins, and that was really, really amazing. I got to meet Oz for the first time at Origins, and that was really great. But so Chummer Jim Oz was asking, are you going to be going to Origins next year?
I'm going to be doing Gen Con instead.
That's what I had to say. I could only pick one next year.
Boldrack.
Yeah, well.
There's as well.
Well,
there is no instead.
I would do both, but that's going to be around the time of my 30th birthday, and I'm going to be doing a big trip to Spain.
Ooh,
so
nice.
I can't.
Welcome.
Why would you schedule that during one of the conventions?
That's when my birthday is.
See,
I think you need to have a talk with your parents.
Yeah, sounds to me like poor planning on somebody's part.
I get to see it a couple months or so anyway, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson, I know we don't even have to ask you. You go to both every year, so.
Yeah.
Done.
So if I'm going to keep that up, and that's the plan this year too. And I have no intention of ever not going to both.
Yeah, you have fun because you now use Origins is kind of like the family con. You bring your kids and stuff, right?
Yeah, we bring the kids to Origins, and it was a big deal one for my daughter, who the year before she discovered the existence of cosplay, and so we went to the 2 years ago we went to the cosplay contest just to see what people had, and just were blown away by it and had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then planned a costume for her this year, and she ended up taking second place in the kids category.
Yes, that
Which
was
is
so
really-
awesome. And so
Very cool.
I couldn't be there. I was really bummed about it because I had to play a missions game with Damian. And
It was great though.
but I was really excited. It was super cute because you both came.
I dressed up as a security guard, and I went out and looked like I was looking around and freaking out and made some creepy sounds. And then she snuck out as the Five Nights at Freddy's character, Marionette, and jump scared me. And I screamed really loud and high pitched and fell over.
Yeah,
That was an improvisation I hadn't planned, but it was pretty convincing.
yeah, it was really cool. She seemed really excited. She came and interrupted our game to tell us that show us her costume and tell us how she did, and that was really cool. So that was fun. Wolf, do you go to Origins or Gen Con?
We did go to Gen Con this last year. As it stands right now, I think the plan is to try and do both. But we will have to see.
Did I? Because I do this. I often meet people and don't know it. Did we meet at Gen Con by any chance?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was great to meet you at Gen Con. I think this last year was the first time we met, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or am I
Yes.
forgetting a previous? Okay, good.
All right. Well, I feel really
What a
bad.
piece of Drek you are, Bobby.
I am.
I'm sure you'd recognize him if you could see his face right now.
I'm sure. I usually can. Yeah. I
took the time to hang out and chat with him for a while afterwards, and you just blow him off. Like, never mind.
Oh, what?
I mean,
okay.
I wasn't offended until now, Bobby.
Right. The
ruse was effective.
maybe you noticed how scatterbrained I was while I was there. I'm very
Complex.
I get so anxious around people. But next time make sure you tell me exactly. You make me remember. Because I'll be at Origin, or I won't be at Origin. See, you've got me all flustered now. I'll be at Gen Con. Chris, do you go to either of those?
I have not been, although friends of mine go to Gen Con every year because they live in Indianapolis, and ever since we started doing this show, it has been ever since these many 12 months. I really want to get as much of Crit Squad as possible out to Gen Con. I don't know if we can do it this year or 2018, but soon.
You guys have got to do it.
Yeah.
I very badly want to. Yeah, no, I'm the world's worst nerd, and I only even heard of Gen Con 4 years ago.
I'm right there with you, actually.
same.
It was my first con 2 years ago, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you're from the Midwest, I mean, I would imagine you have heard of it a lot more. But
Yeah.
out on the West Coast, there you've got all those shiny, giant, fancy Comic Cons and
Yeah.
big, fancy, crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Michigan, but there's a Renaissance fair there, and that's about it.
Well, if you're from Michigan, that's right next door to the birthplace of role-playing games. You have no excuse.
Mr. Johnson
I have
takes
been-
back
I
all
have-
his apologies for you.
I have been duly chastised. I
Yeah.
apologize.
Well, I hope to meet you at Gen Con sometime, and I hope even more to remember the encounter.
Yeah, well, now that I know that it's on the table for you to just completely forget about, people like me low on the totem pole,
Right.
I don't know, I'll send you away with a signed headshot or something.
Yeah, please,
Stop
please.
saying from the ivory tower, it's hard to see the plebeians.
Right?
Oh gosh, let's change the subject. Joe, I know I've talked to you before. You don't usually get the opportunity, or maybe haven't ever had the opportunity to go to Origins or Gen Con, right?
No, I have not yet.
Do you have any
I
plans
not
to
had
do
the
that?
Opportunity yet. One day, if it's financially in the cards. Probably not this year, but maybe the year after.
It's not cheap.
No.
That's for sure.
Definitely not something that you spur of the moment plan.
Yeah.
That's experience talking.
have
Definitely not
you
something
learned
like that.
your lesson, Wolf?
Oh yes, yes we have.
Oh wow. Yeah. What about I know Opti, you weren't able to make it to Origins last year, but you usually go to both, right? Or you try you try to go to both.
Usually do. Yes. I will be
we
going to
missed you
both
so
this
much at
year.
Origins.
Oh, I know. I had some family nonsense that went on this last year. I wasn't able to make it, but
the
but I
last
am
gumbo and our Sunday gumbo and everything. We didn't do that either.
hard.
So
Yeah.
sad.
So I'm super looking forward to making it back to Origins again this year. Actually taking Mrs. Opti to Origins this year. This will be her first gaming convention.
Even
I've
more
recently
bummed I won't make it.
converted her. Yeah, I've recently converted her to the gaming side, and so I'm pretty excited about that. And then I'll be hooking up with one of my favorite people, Garde-Manger, and it'll be super much fun.
Yeah, I got
I'm
to
looking
meet
forward to all that.
Garde-Manger this past year at Origins. I'm bummed I won't get to see him again this next year.
No.
I will say that if
Yeah.
your reason for going is just to play games, Origins is where it's at.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah. Damian, you've already said, I guess you're going to both, right? So
Yeah, both Katie and I are hitting both of them up this
Katie!
year.
love Katie.
Yeah.
What the pros do.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Rusty Zimmerman and his wife are going to be at Origins this year for the first time.
Yeah, I think Rusty and his wife, and you and your wife, and Garde-Manger and me and Vox are all getting a house together for the week. So
Wow.
Yeah. And Garde-Manger is promising to cook and make cocktails and smoke cigars with us. And so, like, I feel like maybe I won't even go to Origins. I'll just stay at the.
you can have like a camera crew and do like a reality show.
It sounds like you'll be too full to be able to even get out of the house. So
If
So much
Garde-Manger's
That's true most
cooking,
of the time.
if Garde-Manger's cooking, we'll be crashing that. I
Yeah.
promise you. Promise you right now.
Wait, Damian
I
and
should
Katie,
cut
are
my
you
stain
guys
for
staying with
short.
us too in the house, or we guys other
Yeah,
arrangements?
we'll crash that. I mean, we haven't made any arrangements, so we'll sleep in the bathtub or something. I don't know.
So speaking of things that happened this year, Mr. Johnson, we started a little thing called the Shadowcasters Network this year. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like
Let us team up and start doing some things we wouldn't be able to do if we were just kind of doing our own things.
yeah, it's like 3 million Facebook messages a day. Kind of makes it seem like it's been going on a lot longer than it
Right?
So long.
That's my fault.
It is 100% Bobby's fault.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
Bobby, you
to be
mentioned this
fair-
about your relationship with Oz and stuff, but like I feel like the same way with the Shadowcasters and your group. Like there's something about I don't know, like the way everyone clicks and the way that all of this stuff works together. It makes it feel like it's always been this way.
Yeah, well, maybe going into business together will force you to do that, and that was the motivation. I needed some friends, so I figured the only way that I could do that was
Just
to
to
get.
trap them legally.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Are you legally bound to be my friend? It
Yeah.
says so for the paperwork.
Right.
Snuck the clause in there.
But no, in all seriousness, that's been a really exciting thing for us this year. We had a whole lead up to it. It was all of us have been working on that since January, like literally the entire year. We've been working on it, making plans for it. We announced it at Origins in 2017. We had like a secret dinner with Oz to see if he would be willing to partner with us in sort of a partnership kind of capacity and work with us on that. And we had a whole fundraiser between Origins and Gen Con. We had a 36-hour streamathon where we streamed for 36 hours straight. Various content, most of it Shadowrun related, but some other stuff, and that was crazy. And it's been a whirlwind. It's been really fun and way hard. I already had thought it would be hard, but it's been way harder than even I thought it would be. So much work that we all get into. And this, where we are right now, Twitch, has been a big part of that we didn't anticipate would be such a big part of it. But it's been really fun. One big thing that people don't get to hear a lot about, and I think we should talk about it a good bit. In fact, I should like take a timestamp here so that we can tell people, hey, we're talking about this, and if you want to learn about Shadowrun Missions Online, the beta that we're working on, this is where you can listen to this episode and go straight to this point, because we've unfortunately been a little quiet about it, but Cliff, we're working on this thing called the Shadowrun Missions Online venue that we're building, right?
Yeah, it's been in closed beta since the, well, I guess we launched it post-Gen Con. And it's had its ups and downs and a learning curve with us arranging this sort of thing. But I think we've got a good system going, and I'm really looking forward to getting that opened up to the general public. I think we're really close, but I feel like saying that is
that was
I'm
that was
checks that then Bobby has to cash by programming the website stuff that will make it work.
Right, absolutely. First, I'm going to interrupt for a second.
Hey.
Damian just gifted Gen Tonic subscription. So how nice of you,
Yay.
Damian.
Happy holidays.
That's me.
Yeah.
So nice.
But anyway, yeah. So for those who might be listening to this and hearing about it for the very first time, the Shadowrun Missions Online, the whole goal of that thing is to say. The idea is, I love how Cliff has described it in the past.
I'm sorry, but who's got a microphone pointed at their loud keyboard?
I think it's Opti.
That's Opti.
What? No, it's not. Shut up.
I like how he like casually put his he was like, I'm not typing. But yeah, the Shadowrun Missions Online thing, the whole idea is that it's imagine going to a place like Origins and Gen Con that we have been talking about, and everybody plays a ton of missions there at the convention there, and if a lot of people can't make it there, they can't get to a convention to play those types of missions in that capacity and everything. So we thought, wouldn't it be a great thing to do to sort of create a venue where official, like Catalyst demo team members all the games would be played online, and they would be missions games, and they would be played by demo team members, Catalyst demo team members. They would be official.
The super short elevator pitch is it's a year-round game convention for Shadowrun Missions, but played online.
Exactly. And so like it would count towards your character could build and develop just by playing missions and whatnot online instead of having to be at a convention. And we wanted to create a venue, a very organized, easy-to-use venue where you could go onto a website and see what games people are offering that, again, are being run by demo team agents. And
I'm...
Go ahead.
I want to say I'm really excited that one of our the people we've attracted to join as a GM and actually who's helped us out a lot with some of our behind-the-scenes work, Florian. Some people might know as Quatar, or however you would pronounce it on Discord. He's from Europe, and he's willing to run some games. And we have, of course, Francis, whose voice you've heard as Canis, I'm sure. He's running some games. So I love the idea of having more chances for people who are in other non-US friendly time zones having a chance to play some games too online.
Yeah, and also getting to meet all of those GMs and kind of like that community starting to build. So like when you take those characters from online to a convention, like say if you do, you get to meet all those people that were running games for you online, and you get to keep developing your character with them too.
Yep.
And of course, these are all official Shadowrun missions run by Catalyst demo team agents. So the characters you play, you can take them to a convention or a game store game if you've got one of those nearby that you can attend, like some people do. That
right.
Not many people I know. And go and take them online and back and forth. It's all just the same system.
Right. And so where we are with that, so people have been asking, we're in the middle of the beta, we're testing some things. We've got a whole system setup. It uses Roll20 as the virtual tabletop, but in sort of just a shared space for everybody just to hang out. The way we use that is mostly for GMs to have an organized way to be able to run games easily. We're testing, in the middle of testing our sign up system online, and that's going well so far. Soon we're going to be moving towards making those tickets official, like purchasable tickets and whatnot. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're really excited about it, and it's going a little bit slower than we anticipated. That's why people have been asking a lot about it, and not hearing.
Yeah, and I haven't exactly been talking about it publicly much. We've been communicating to the people who were part of the closed beta, but and another thing is it's part of it is we've had, a lot of the people who were signed up for the beta just weren't signing up for missions, signing up for the sessions. So I think a lot of those were just people who were excited to make it happen and contribute to the fundraiser, but didn't necessarily have the time to be directly involved in helping us test it. So we've actually opened up the beta to anyone who is a Patreon supporter of any of the core shows on the Shadowcasters network, which is a 6-World podcast, Join the Anarchy, Arcology podcast, Violent Life, and Neo-Anarchist. If you support any of those podcasts via Patreon, you're invited to join the beta. Also, if you subscribe to our Twitch channel, we will invite you to join the beta as well. And that's kind of given some new life to the beta group, and we've gotten more stuff scheduled, and it's brought us closer to being able to say, hey, I think this is working. Maybe we can let more people in on this.
Yeah, very soon we want to move it to an open beta where anybody can help us test it out. And as soon as we're ready to do that, you guys will we'll make tons of public announcements and talk lots about it and stuff like that. So really excited about that. We got started with that. Hopefully, when we're doing this next year, we're going to be talking all about how much of a success the launch has been. So that's really cool.
And if you're interested in joining the beta, all you have to do is back one of the Patreons, or all of them. That'd be fine too.
Right.
Or subscribe to our Twitch channel.
Right. It's just a way for us to sort of gate that, so we don't have. It's an easy way for us to find people. So, So we talked about conventions that happened this year. We talked about some releases that we get. What about some of the things that we didn't get this year that we were either hoping or expecting to get? First one I think of is Street Lethal. We were supposed to get Street Lethal, and that never happened. You guys familiar with? Is everybody familiar? Or maybe I should just explain it anyway, because people listening might not know. Street Lethal is the source book that is an anticipated source book. It's coming out. It is coming out, and it's supposed to be focused more on like weaponry and security procedures. And I think there's going to be like stuff highlighting different mega corporate security procedures and their security guards. I think we're finally getting like a bunch of different statted guards. Isn't that right, Opti?
I couldn't speak to that, but I do know that for fans of Narcoject, the company, you're going to get a lot. You're going to get more of them than you ever wanted.
I didn't even realize it was a company.
Yeah.
Yep, it is. Yep.
Wow.
I always
You
need
ever
more
wonder
Narcoject.
why in the first 3 editions that like you could buy a Narcoject pistol, right? And then all of a sudden you couldn't, and you just had to use Narcoject, like the toxin, right? Well,
wait, is there like a lore reason for why this happened?
there is now.
That's amazing. I love it.
As far as you're concerned, yes.
So Narcoject has been upping their game, and like they've branched out into other non-lethal weapons, and so we're gonna get all of that.
They're finally making more than the one thing.
Yeah, that was my contribution to Street Lethal. I was like, you know what? I hate gun porn. So how about this instead? How about I write up Narcoject? It was pretty awesome. I had a really good time.
Gentonic, Mr. Johnson, Gentonic asks in the chat, Mr. J, I just started listening to the Patreon pirate campaign. Love it. When do we get a t-shirt that says Chartreuse is hungry?
Oh, that's a good one. We should totally have a Chartreuse t-shirt. We should definitely have more just fun t-shirts up there relating to stuff that's happened in the various actual play campaigns we've done, because I know Carrie has definitely suggested we need a Damn It Cliff t-shirt. And we certainly need some sort of like a default to pistols shirt with Maverick or something. But
Yeah,
I'm not a visual artist, so I haven't gotten around to putting anything together.
yeah, and I just draw stick figures.
We need a No Mercy Percy shirt too.
Oh yes.
That would be a good one. Yeah, we did talk about an idea for what was it? A Geek the Mage sort of shirt, like the general like the saying, and I sketched up a stick figure idea for that, and but we want to do more on the store, but you know, it takes effort.
Yeah, I've got some weird ideas, but like a lot of my attention's been on the Shadowrun mission stuff and
Yeah.
there's some other things.
So many projects that we're all involved in, so it's kind of hard to, and then we're constantly trying to just improve them. So it's like it's hard to get to all of the other little, or not little things, but you know what I mean, like the extra outlier stuff that would just. I think that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Gentonic, thank you for that image.
Also, this is behind the scenes, I guess, but I have a background in graphic design and print design too. So if you guys want to send me your stick figure ideas and stuff, no guarantee I'll get to it any faster than you would, but I might be able to come up with something for stuff like that.
Making contact
down the line. Yeah, this is really just a networking
players.
session that everyone else is
You
privy
fool,
to.
never volunteer for anything in regards to us.
I figure if
And
I couch
so
it with a
another career-
promise to delay it, yeah.
And
Good-
then
good
indentured
idea.
Servitude begins.
Yeah.
Yeah, he never made it out.
One of the other things that we didn't get this year was the Technomancer book.
You'll net. Wait, I thought the topic was things we were expecting in 20.
This is what we didn't get this year. Street
Well,
Lethal.
I do believe that a certain someone who was involved in the pipeline did say that we'd get a Technomancer book most likely by the end of this year. So, and it did not happen.
Whatever. You know what? As much as I like Technomancers, I don't care. Feel
Hey,
the pain
guess
of
what?
riggers. Feel
But
it.
guess what? I'm gonna spoil something here. Ready?
Here we go.
You're never ever gonna get a 5th edition Technomancer book,
Bum, bum, bum.
but you will get an Advanced Matrix book with a lot of Technomancer stuff in it.
Yeah.
Ha!
Yeah. Yeah, we did hear that. I know that I spoke to Jason Hardy on the show, and he said we would be getting that, and so that's exciting. That's going to be happening next year. Joe. Hi,
Yes.
Joe. So your show, Relative Dimension. Tell people who might not be familiar with it. What is Relative Dimension? I know it's an actual play, but you do some other stuff too, right?
It is an actual play. Besides that, I run a website where I have a movie resource list. I have a going list of the podcasts that are Shadowrun related and a few that aren't.
Yes,
I-
you doing that had basically like stopped me from bothering to try.
Yeah. Well, I at one point I was doing Facebook a daily this year in Shadowrun or this day in Shadowrun, but it was so time consuming to
I did the
look
same
up
thing
everything.
I did the same thing on Twitter when I first started the YouTube stuff. I did a this day in Shadowrun history on Twitter, and it got
I
tiring.
ended up going to work, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm 3 days behind. Man, what happened to my time?
Right.
My podcast started out as classic modules because I had inspiration from Hidden Grid, and most of my players had no Shadowrun experience. So I decided to start in the 50s and work my way up through the lore. But we are so far behind the recordings and the releases. I think my latest release of our classic now is from 2 years ago.
Oh wow.
So I decided that we were going to start a new one so I could stay current on the releases, and that is Vatican-sanctioned Shadowrunners hunting artifacts and religious relics.
That is really exciting.
Hmm.
Do they work for the
And-
Pope?
Yes, indirectly, but yes, they have
Well-
a go-between.
No.
I think I feel like the Pope's got to be in there somewhere.
He will probably make an appearance. As to whether or not anybody recognizes him at first, because he's probably going to be in disguise when it happens.
Monsignor Johnson.
He's been a street samurai all along. He's just been slumming it as a Shadowrunner.
Yeah.
Or babysitting a team.
We just started. We are on Christmas break. Our next session should be in a week or two. Will be our third session in. They are currently in the Ukraine because some bodily remains of Saint Joseph has disappeared from a church, and they are sent to recover him.
Wow. Awesome. In the chat room, Ninja Leora asks, and I'm actually I'm not sure what he's referring to, and I'm wondering if it has to do with you, Joe. He says more null sect in the future.
That's a Dark Terrors reference.
Oh
that
yeah,
I
I
don't
didn't read that section. I didn't read that section of the Foundation.
I had a hand in that. I had a hand in cleaning up some, like another writer wrote something and then had to bail out, so I wrote some null sect stuff just to kind of clean up his ideas. But yeah, I mean, anything introduced in Dark Terrors, you can bet that you'll see again in the future.
Cool. Sorry to interrupt you, Joe. Continue on. Vatican stuff is happening.
Yep. Besides that, I do try to stream Monday nights. Lately, we've been competing with Join the Anarchy, but it's there. People can hop in and suggest places to go, things to see, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. What time do you go, and how long do you stream for?
We usually start at around 8 p.m. Eastern and go till 11 to midnight-ish. One of our players is in Florida, and he teaches with the kids, so he has to be up early, so he sets our end time usually.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate. But cool. So we keep skirting around predictions for next year. We talked a lot about what happened this year, and we are talking about what's going on with our shows this year as periodically throughout the thing. But with Shadowrun in general, what's coming in 2018? What do we know about? First, we know Street Lethal's coming, but we have... Everybody keeps talking about it, and we've got the man himself, Better Than Bad, the Hooding book is going to be coming in next year.
Yeah.
How excited are you about that, Opti?
My excitement is unmitigated. That is like the first thing that I had to have one conversation with Jason Hardy. We were on our way, first time I ever met him at Origins like 3 years ago. And, or actually I guess it was like right after I became a freelancer. And I was on my way up to the freelancers meeting at Origins at Gen Con, because I have little meetings like that. And I cornered him in an elevator, and I said, we need a Hooding or a Neo-Anarchist book. Like, and I'll do anything, just tell me what I need to do, and I need to make this happen. And I just wouldn't let it go. And he's like, okay, how about this? So like we kind of made like a little unholy pact in an elevator, and 3 years later, like we're getting this book. So I'm pretty effing excited about it. So yeah, it's better than bad. It's all about hooding and like the good guy side of being a Shadowrunner, if there is such a thing, like good guy, in this world. But I guess better than bad is the way we.
Yeah, I was recently talking to Brooke Chang about that book on the Sixth World podcast. Brooke. Yeah, Brooke is great. Awesome. We had a lot of fun talking to her, and she got me really excited about some of the about that book, kind of addressing some of those deeper philosophical questions about why we Shadowrun and and stuff like that. So I'm really excited.
Brooke and I have the lion's share of that book. We're like doing an awful big chunk of it.
Yeah, we got it. Me and Cassie have to get you. Yeah, me and Cassie got to get you and Brooke on the show to talk about that when it comes out.
I've never talked to Brooke in person. That'd be, well, I guess I still wouldn't have. I've never had I have Facebook conversations with Brooke like every day, but I've never actually talked with her in person.
Yeah.
Well, I keep saying in person. What I mean is I've never talked to her. Period. Except Facebook messages.
Right. We're also getting supposed to be getting a Matrix book, advanced Matrix book next year.
Yep. That should please a lot of people.
I've been hearing that for years.
We're still gonna yeah, well. I never say things that are coming unless they're coming.
Yeah, Jason
So I expect that
Hardy
one.
did say on our show, he's the one who told me that it's coming next year. So I think that's about as good as you can expect to get of a definite kind of this is happening.
And yeah, you're going to get Street Lethal 2. You're going to get Chicago Chaos, which is the second Anarchy book.
Yes.
It's got a whole bunch of different missions and new shadow amps and all sorts of cool new stuff for Anarchy, which is nice.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I have to stop. Although I would say that if you like Neo-Anarchist stuff, then 2018 is going to be even bigger for you than just Better Than Bad.
Yeah, but the let's talk about the Anarchy thing for a second. That's not a small thing to glaze. Like we were told just at the end of this year, Jason Hardy talked to us and said, "Hey, no, guys, we saw how excited you guys were about Anarchy." I'm looking at you, Oz. We saw how excited you guys were about Anarchy, and we've heard it. And we're gonna make more stuff. Like, and that was a big deal because when it came out, they straight up said, "No, this is just a one-time thing. We're not gonna do it. Like, we're not gonna continue to develop this. Here, we want you to enjoy it. Here, enjoy it." But it was so well received, I guess, that they 180'd on that and said, "Nope, we're gonna do more of it." And so that's a good segue to Oz. Oz, you do a show on Twitch every other week called Join the Anarchy. And tell us about that.
Okay, so for the uninitiated, we're an interactive, completely improvised Shadowrun Anarchy. So we use the Shadowrun Anarchy system, which is the more narrative plot point system that just came out last year, and we started the campaign, and we have we run it live on Twitch, and anybody in chat starts throwing out ideas, and if we like the ideas, we get rewarded with the plot points, which is like the narrative economy in the game that helps us do more ridiculous things, and we just build the story. I come to the table with nothing planned, and it's worked out somehow.
You know what's impressed me the most, Oz, is that not only has it worked out, and I've said before to you and to other people that I do not envy you as a GM having to on the fly take not just ideas that pop up in your head, but take ideas that people are just throwing at you and having to incorporate them. But not only has it worked out, but you've managed to, you and your cast, we've got to give them a lot of credit. You guys have managed to not just have like not only silly one-offs every time, and they are silly and fun, but you've managed to weave a very like emotional and complex plot and characters and interpersonal relationships and everything.
Made people cry.
Yeah, that one episode. Yeah, no, and it's the secret is always, you just listen to it and you listen for the plot holes, and then you're like, I need to figure out how to justify this later. Right. But yeah, that's it's been fun. We've had, most of you have been on the show already as guests, so yeah, and yeah, so we just finished our first season. We wrapped up that plot, and now we're just gonna start completely fresh in 2018. New set of characters, same cast. So it's kind of like American Horror Story or like those anthology kind of series. So yeah, and I'm excited to see what the next campaign is going to be about, because I have no idea. It's all in chat's hands.
Right.
Yeah, and also, but before we start campaign 2, which so here's the other thing. One thing I want to say is, if you want to join, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, that sounds like a cool show, but I don't want to listen to Join the Anarchy season 1, you don't have to. It's okay. We're just going to start completely fresh. Just hop into season 2. I'm doing like a full rebrand of our logos and like everything. And I just want to start completely new. And yeah, let's see how that goes. And before we do that, though, so that's going to start in March. And then before that, we're going to be doing a 4-episode short arc set in the Sealy Court, which I will not be GMing. I'm handing those reins over to Scrim. who's one of our players, and because I know that she's fantastic at fantasy and court intrigue. They played. She's GM'd Pathfinder for me before, and it was probably one of the best sessions I've ever played in, or best arcs. So I'm excited to see what she does with the Court of Shadows meta plot, which I don't think has really ever been showcased on any actual play board. And it's so important to the meta plot these days, it seems, with every release that comes out, that let's give it some airtime, right?
Right. That's going to be really cool. I'm excited I'm excited for you for that. So pretty cool. Let's I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk about their shows. Mr. Johnson, as if you need I feel like everybody knows who Mr. Johnson is, but tell us, some people might not. So tell us about your show, the Arcology podcast.
You're muted.
First, you're going to want to unmute your microphone.
Yes, I turned the mic down so when I got up to go.
That's right. That was a responsible thing to do.
So, I've been podcasting about Shadowrun for a while. I guess a little over 4 years. We have episodes where we talk about Shadowrun, and more frequent and irregular episodes where we have an actual play release that's been pretty popular. We podcast about Shadowrun and do stuff on Twitch now with the Shadowcasters Network. It's been lots of fun.
Yeah. Everybody, you've been around. Have you and Opti, I think, among all of us, are competing of us here, who have been around the longest. Have you been around longer than the Neo-Anarchist?
Opti came out before any of our episodes did, by I think a couple of months or so.
So tell us, Opti, about the Neo-Anarchist podcast. Tell us, who is Opti and what is the Neo-Anarchist podcast?
Neo-Anarchist podcast is a in-character retelling or information dump on the history of the Sixth World. And it is told by Opti, the Neo-Anarchist, crazy raven shaman, who just yells a lot and assumes that you're, caring about what he has to say. We're up to, I think 2073 now. In the middle, we have two episodes, and I have a script for the next one coming up. And then every once in a while, he'll stop and, break into song and sing songs about the Sixth World. That's pretty much what we're doing.
Tell stories about the past and sing songs.
Yeah. It's working out.
It's real folksy. I like it.
I will say this, my entire trajectory for doing the podcast was I want to influence the world. I want to get in and be a part of this world. And I thought it would just stop at the podcast. And I thought, 10 years from now, people will look back and go hey, remember that Opti guy who did that thing? Wasn't that really cool? And instead, I just kept leveraging it up. And then now I'm getting to write the stuff. And so now I don't think, anyway.
How cool is that?
Less time doing the podcast. It's cool, except for when it's not because I spend a lot of my time writing now, and the podcast, when I get them out, anyway.
I will say
I don't
that
spend so much time telling people how sucky I am at podcasting now, because
here's
I'm
the
writing Shadowrun. But all the stuff that I wanted to do, like the return of Blackstar and the increased focus on hooding, that's all stuff that I told myself that I wanted to do, and it's happening.
You're doing important things.
I think so.
I want to say it's super cool that you are getting the chance to influence the world in the ways that you want, but it's also pretty amazing that anytime anyone posts on a Facebook or Twitter or something hey, how do I get into Shadowrun with all this lore and stuff? It's not just me that says, well, the best resource ever is the Neo-Anarchist podcast.
Yeah. I had to go excuse myself.
I tell people that all the time too.
I see that online. I'm I'll be in my book because it just gets me every time.
Yeah.
It's one of the great things that you're doing.
I would add the intro of the Anarchy rulebook has a really concise setting intro, but yes.
Yeah.
That's the best written, and then the best ever is the Neo-Anarchist podcast.
Well, one of the great things that you've done with the Neo-Anarchist podcast is that it's history, right? So it's kind of timeless. and it can continue to be a resource for people, no matter new to Shadowrun or not. So that's really great. You've done a public service.
I live to serve.
Thank you. But you don't just do stuff with the Neo-Anarchist podcast. You're also involved with another podcast of which we don't have. Well, you're here to sort of represent it, and it's kind of not. Anyway, the Hidden Grid.
Yeah, we should talk about the Hidden Grid. So the Hidden Grid was actually around before the Neo-Anarchist podcast. It was around before the Arcology. It was around even before Critical Glitch. Yeah, and so it was kind of like the first dedicated Shadowrun podcast, and that was back when Derek Zended was doing it, and then season 2 came around, and Justin or Null Operations took over, and that was kind of like the classic era where they were doing the actual play before anybody was doing actual play. They were doing actual plays,
right?
Which I thought was really great. And then they stopped, mostly because of time management issues. Not time management, that made it sound crappy. Just because of time issues.
Right.
And then both Derek and Justin said, like, hey, we want to play. Opti, would you run this as a GM? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, so these guys, like, part of some of the reasons I got into podcasting. So I was like, yeah, let me do that. So we did that. We had a great time. Garde-Manger, who's in the chat, played with us. And basically, one of our family on the Hidden Grid ended up having surgery and was just out for a very long time. And during which time, and Jules, I don't know if Jules is in the chat too, but Rainbow Smite, Jules Watts, she was playing with us too on the Hidden Grid, that actual play game. So anyway, we got to be really good friends and family in that way. But when Justin ended up having eye surgery and he was out for a long time, Zen and Jules went off and started doing their own podcasts, and they're doing great at them, by the way. They're not necessarily Shadowrun podcasts, but they're general gaming and pretty awesome. Seize the GM is one that they do, and I can't remember when Jules is off the top of my head. Somebody's going to remind me.
6 degrees off normal or something like that?
Yes, 6 degrees off normal. I think that's right.
I was going to say Legends of Earth Dawn, maybe.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that too.
Of course, she has. Anyway. I haven't actually released any of those with her in it yet. No, I think I have. Never mind. Sorry, go on.
So 5 degrees off normal. That's it. Thank you.
Sorry, gave her one extra degree.
Essentially, what's happening now is that we've been on hiatus for so long that I finally sat down with the other guys and I was like, hey, what's the deal? Like, where are we going with this? Because what we were doing is going through all of the old classic adventures, like the first edition classic adventures. We were set in the 2050s, and Opti was actually just about to hop in as an actual character. And so I was going to be able to play Opti as a PC in a 2050s game, which I thought was just freaking awesome. But it doesn't look like the Hidden Grid is going to be back in that form anytime soon. And so I guess I'll just take this time to announce something special for the next year. And that is Opti and Garde-Manger, along with another 3 or 4 people in a cast, are going to be starting a new podcast sometime next year, early next year, hopefully. And I think our GM is going to be... Do you want to do it, Mr. Johnson, or do you want me to reveal it?
I think you just did.
Yeah, you just did.
Yeah, so Mr. Johnson, Cliff is going to be our GM. He's going to be our GM for that. Except, I say that, except he's going to be what we're calling our default GM, because we're actually going to be bringing in other GMs to run those first edition games that that they really care about. So, for example, Rusty Zimmerman has told us that he's going to come in and run Dragon Hunt and Elven Fire for us. And so that's going to be super fun. And I'm trying to get Bull to come in. He promised me a long time ago that he was going to run a Universal Brotherhood run for us. And so it's going to be pretty awesome. So yeah, that's what we're thinking about. We're going to take what we were going to do on the Hidden Grid and move that energy into something else.
Right.
So
don't.
yeah.
So don't.
Nice.
Don't.
Yeah,
announcement.
Opti sent me this message that was like, "Hey, I need someone to GM this new podcast thing that I'm doing. Here's the
I
idea."
didn't
And
ask.
was
I
like,
didn't ask Mr. Johnson. I said, "Hey, do you
was
know
like-
of anybody?"
Right.
I do, but me maybe.
Right. So
Bet, but he's kind of busy.
don't step over what should be the lead here, which is that the whole conceit of this thing is that you're running through all the old adventures, right?
Right, which is that's why it kind of ties in, because it's a little bit in character, because Opti's going to be there, and it's those old adventures which, while they're sometimes mentioned on the Neo-Anarchist podcast, I mean, you really never get the sense for them, until you've kind of listened in or played through them. So yeah, we're gonna be doing all the old adventures. So if you ever wondered like what the Universal Brotherhood was all about, or what Bottle Demon was all about, or that kind of stuff. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that because I think it's going to be a really fun a way to connect with those stories. That there's a lot of lore in those old adventures. So
Yeah.
So that's really cool. I'm really happy to hear that. We saved the best for last, and that's the Sixth World. No, I'm just kidding. The Violent Life. Damian, we you lots of people. You've been around doing stuff with the Violent Life podcast for a long time with Vendetta Violent and everything, and do tell us a little bit about that stuff. But I want to hear you've been doing some really amazing stuff this year with an actual play. You jumped into an actual play for the first time this year.
Yeah. We started originally off just doing kind of like 5-minute audio drama blogs from the point of view of a rock star / Shadowrunner, and did a few informationals and that kind of thing. And while we were trying to find our identity, over the last year, I believe in April, we started Tales from the Stuffer Shack, which was kind of an ambitious but yet irreverent game where it was essentially the life of two clerks in a stuffer shack.
One of them being here on the show, Oz, and also my co-host on Sixth World podcast, Cassie Levitt.
Pretty much, and they're just trying to make their way through life as employees of the Stuffer Shack, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun, and we plan on still taking it to some very interesting places. This was supposed to be Stuffer Shack Day, so I'm doing this instead of releasing that show.
Well, thank you, sir.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, like, that has been amazing, and I'm really glad that people seem to really dig it.
They really do, yeah.
But also, we were able to finish off the first season of Redmond Born this year, and that was a hell of a great thing it felt really good to be able to do, and started coming in. I think I've got it slated for February. Season 2 of Redmond Born will be coming, and it's gonna I haven't said anything about it until this point. Right now, it's gonna be essentially a year after Redmond Born ended, and it'll still be following Samara and the Hidden, and kind of taking things up 10 steps
Sure.
from where it was before.
Redmond Born, for those who don't know, it's an audio drama, right?
Yeah, it's a audio drama. They drop in just about 15-minute, fully casted, essentially stories.
Professionally voice acted.
Yeah, professionally voice acted, and narrated by me, unfortunately. But yeah, they're pretty much what kind of my pride and joy about what I do right now.
Yeah.
As I've loved telling the story, and it's been a hell of a trip.
I got to voice act in one. I'm no professional, but I got to do an early on episode of character in there, so that was fun.
Yeah, the first episode actually.
Was it the first one? Cool. I had fun doing that. So that's really exciting. Tales from the Stuffer Shack. I love the idea of that show. It's just like, not only are you guys using Anarchy, right?
Yes.
Not only do I love that because it kind of lets you be able to focus on the story, but I love the idea. I loved it as soon as you told me about it, Damian, before you actually did it. I love the idea of just telling a story not from Shadowrunner's perspective, but like these people. It's almost like it's almost like a sitcom, right? It's a situational kind of, like, you're in this one place all the time, and just like let's look at what happens to these people as these crazy characters come in and out of this stuffer shack. Like as you know, like you just imagine how Shadowrunners just will bust into stuffer shacks and do crazy things, and you want to tell the story from the perspective of those clerks that are in the stuffer shack and what kind of crap that they have to go through all the time. I love the concept, and it's been a blast.
At the other side of the counter and food fight.
Right.
Yes.
There are real people behind the counter, okay?
I'm gonna clean that mess up.
That really is the perfect pitch, right? It's let's tell the story from the other side of the counter, from the food fighting counter that everybody's familiar with, right? So,
yeah, hell, that's what we kind of led into the series with. So
yeah.
So, what is the best cleaner to use to clean up a pink fizzy meat product?
You can never get that out.
Yeah, and you don't want to ask this guy anyway, because Augustus never cleans a damn thing. So
no, I always put someone else up to it.
Right.
I manage.
It's the foamy blue cleaning product.
Yeah. The foaming blue cleaning product. Got it.
Yeah. Because blue is better for cleaning.
Yeah.
Noted. I'll pass that along to my associate, who I delegate to.
Right. I know Cassie loves it too. She talks about it all the time. Cassie loves being on that show. Do you guys? For a while, I know you were having guest people play. Do you still do that?
Occasionally, we have a guest come through. Pretty much every fourth or fifth episode, we end up bringing somebody in, which is fun. And I do want to have somebody in from Crit Squad.
Oh, really? Oh, God,
somebody.
That would be amazing. What a great idea.
I know. I heard you get something. I heard you get something caught in your throat over there, Chris.
Yeah, no, I had some popcorn earlier, and it's just like sticking, you know.
Funny thing about the show is that I originally was very reluctant to do it. I kind of doubted GMing. I didn't know if another actual play would kind of really be welcome on the scene, but I'm really glad that I have, because my players just blow me away every single session. So.
I actually asked to be on Tales from the Stuffer Shack, but I think Oz and Damian both refused to let me because I'm so because I'm so busy all the time. You guys were like, I don't think it's a good idea for you to.
I'm pretty sure I exactly said that. I was like, no, I don't think so.
Right.
It's a friendship refusal.
Right.
You don't want to do that to yourself.
This is a Shadowrun intervention. We need to have some of those on Cliff, I think.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm hearing that you're going to be GMing a new actual play, Cliff, and I'm like, or Mr. Johnson, I'm like, I don't know if Shadowrun Missions Online, our venue, can handle you putting something else on your plate. Because how much stuff do you do, Mr. Johnson, right now? You have the Patreon campaign.
We've got the Black Star game is the one that we're recording now. We concluded the Pirates one, which I have to still get the episode out this month for.
Sure.
And I'll probably crank out those at a little bit faster pace for our patrons, maybe a couple a month going forward, because there's so much cool stuff happening in the story, and I've got a lot to go through there. But yeah, I do the Black Star campaign. That I run a couple of campaigns once per month sessions for some patrons, which have been a lot of fun. Empress Erica's got a Twitch channel here, and she actually hosts posts up or streams is the word I'm looking for. It streams the one that we play on Friday nights once per month. So feel free to check that out. We actually host that on our channel here. We started doing that, so that's been neat. So it's been a lot of fun kind of doing some campaigns with some of our patrons, and we've done some neat ideas with that. It's been sort of a fun Shadowrun playground. One of the teams is in Vladivostok, and I've been doing some stuff exploring that area and tweaking things with the world a little bit here and there. Like I've got Wuxing starting its own public security company called the Ruishi, and getting the security contract for Vladivostok, so that's been fun. And The other group's been in Seattle, and I've been entangling them with some of Opti's subplots a little bit.
Oh
Which
yeah.
I love you for doing that, by the way.
I also have dipped my toes into
Gross.
writing for Shadowrun, I guess.
Yes, that's
I've
right.
agreed to write a novella that I have to turn in at a certain time. I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to talk about because I'm under contract and NDA and stuff, but I'm writing a novella for Shadowrun, and hopefully it will be published.
Yeah.
They've agreed to give me money for it, so
Suckers.
that's pretty weird and cool. I've never really done any published writing before, but John Helfers, who's the base of the main editor for the Shadowrun fiction stuff, he mistook me for a Shadowrun freelancer because I'm always hanging around him. And 2 years in a row bothered me to submit a proposal to write a novella, and I finally took him up on it. He really
You
loved
think
it.
he's kidding, but I swear to
not
God,
kidding.
the story is true.
I asked him like 2 years in a row. He's been bugging me. Send me your novella proposals. I'm like, I don't know if I have time. He's like, no, just do it, man. I'm like, I finally came up to him the day after the day after he said it again. Gen Con, I went to him like, so why do you keep asking me to submit a novella proposal? Because I've never written anything professionally. You've never seen anything I've done. He's like, aren't you a freelancer? Aren't you one of the freelancers? Like, no. Like, I do have an idea for what I told him my idea, and he jumped up and down and gave me a hug and said, all right, you got to do that. And if it turns out well, you have to write a novel. So
He said, Rusty Zimmer and I are coming out of the freelancer meeting at Gen Con, and the Cliff's in the lobby. We're like, hey, Cliffs, we start talking, and then we start walking because we're going to go grab a beer or whatever. And like around the corner comes drunk John Helfers. He's like, hey, you guys, what are you going to write? What are you going to write me a novella, guys? I have novellas come,
Rachel's like, you've been sitting on mine for 2 years.
And Rachel's like, hey, I got a novella right here. You want it? It's in my pocket. And like, and I'm like, well, hey, man, I wouldn't mind writing a novella. And John's like, yeah, fine, whatever, do it. And then he's like, Cliff, when are you gonna write me a novella? And Cliff's like, what? Really? You want? He's like, okay. And then the next day, Cliff's like, were you serious? And John's like, yeah, write me a novella, Cliff.
Rusty's like, no, I have one.
Rusty's like, I have 4 novels right here. I have 4 novels in my pocket for you right now. Please. Kincaid wants to be told.
Making enemies, Mr. Johnson.
Oh man.
It was the best thing ever. It was great.
I love
That
it.
impression
That's
of Rusty is very, it's like uncanny.
Yeah.
I talked to Rusty way too damn much.
Yeah.
In fact, whenever Rusty can't be a guest on some of our shows, sometimes I actually just go on and pretend to be Rusty. Yeah, Opti, he's the best guy ever. I love Opti.
That's awesome. So
Good friend, good lover.
about 20. So what
Better
kind of
lover.
what kind of predictions do we have about the next year? Hopes, dreams about Shadowrun in the next year. Is anybody anticipating a 6th edition?
No.
Silence.
Silence.
I hope not, because I have barely gotten my head around 5th edition, and it would just be hard.
Oh yeah, didn't you tell us? I don't know if we'd gone live yet, but didn't you tell us, Chris, that you're about to start GMing your own home game?
Yeah. It's been demanded. I don't think I have a choice. But yeah, like I've read the core manual, and I finally feel like I'm ready. And 6th edition, maybe that would be cool, but I'd have to start all over again.
Wouldn't that be great? All right, guys. Sitting
Time
down
to start.
for session 1. Oh, hey, before we start, did you hear that 6th edition's coming out? No.
Wasn't it released like a week after the Advanced Matrix book?
Yeah. That's the thing with Shadowrun. Like it's so hard to learn this game. Other games, I feel like people are excited about a new edition, but this one you're just like, oh my god, now I'm gonna have to start studying again, and it's like starting a new semester in school. And
There you go, Chris. Apparently, you should stream it.
Oh God.
So says
Yeah.
Chad.
That's not the first time Chad has said that. I don't think I'm friends with Chad anymore. Chad and I are taking a break.
Yeah.
I don't want to step on your toes, Bobby, but like this is the second time this has come up, and I'm curious, like, because I'm new to Shadowrun, like what has the nature of the game been like over the years? Like, you know, so this is not just 2017 retrospective, I guess, but like what changes from edition to edition?
Usually,
it's been gradually getting less deadly and more crazy, awesome hero stuff.
yes.
Okay.
Early editions, it was very deadly and more complicated. So if I had to, the quick, well, Mr. Johnson said it very, very succinctly, but if the one thing I'd add, I guess, is that it's been getting easier, believe it or not, the rules.
Really? Because it's still, I feel like I'm about to die every single time we play.
Conceptually, it was easier in the early editions. Like the mechanics weren't necessarily easier, but conceptually it was a little bit easier. Like now, conceptually, it's not. Like there's some problems with the way that things are presented that are not clear.
I can
If that
agree
makes
with
any sense.
When you say you feel like you're about to die, is that just from the Crit Squad perspective? Because I feel everybody's about to die at any given moment there.
Oh, I mean, it's partly that, because like the Crit Squad game is only the second game in Shadowrun I've ever played, but it's like it's the nature of like, and I like it. The narrative functions of the game mechanics where like it's easier to get knocked out than it is to be killed, but then once you're knocked out, someone can just walk up and like put something sharp in your squishy bits.
Right.
Like
I do want to say,
I think that's really cool. So it feels deadly to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to get knocked down and all, but yeah, there's always the edge burning thing, and that wasn't something I remembered much before. The one thing that I guess really picked up on from 5th edition from previous experience, and I'm kind of skipping from 3rd because I had never really played 4th, is that 5th does seem to try to integrate things mechanics wise. You see that with the Decker versus Technomancer stuff, and how the Technomancer stuff kind of mimics a lot of the magic rules, and the way a lot of the magic rules have been kind of condensed into a more streamlined, straightforward. I mean, mages and shamans, there's basically no difference now unless you're using some optional rules, except for the Drain stat and the spirits they can summon. Like 1 or 2 are different, I think. Whereas I remember 3rd edition mages and shamans were huge different. Yes, we'll be at Gen Con, Jen.
I remember also the Matrix in particular has gone through like the most iterations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah, 'cause
changes
it used
every
to be-
time in a big way.
It used to be analog, well, not analog, but like you used to have to like find a port and jack in, and now it's wireless, right?
right.
It
Like,
used to be a
that's one of
dungeon
the-
crawl with a map and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now
Wow.
it's more integrated into the experience of what everyone else is dealing with. You can hack the stuff that's around you, and the cameras as you're walking up, and the guns that people are pointing at you, and things like that.
Yeah, it definitely feels a
So-
lot better. Matrix is huge improvements in the Matrix. So that's
Yeah,
your.
I still feel like it's, you know, there's ways it could be maybe made a little bit easier and streamlined in certain ways, but you know,
Anarchy.
I was going to say, I feel that I've been reading Oz's
Sorry.
mind through
Yeah.
this entire thing.
well, I don't.
You just
I really
see it
don't
on
feel,
my
now.
face right now. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
see, I don't feel Anarchy's a replacement for Shadowrun. I just feel like it's a different way to play it that still has the feel. I like the fact that both exist, and I love both of the games. I don't feel like one or the other is like the thing that fully satisfies. You know,
Yeah.
Well, I guess they each do in their own way, but
Well, it's a
I don't
different
wanna be rid
system.
of
It's a
either.
completely different system altogether. So.
Yeah.
ish.
Well-
it's still SR5 light with some.
I-
narrative.
it's more deadly.
We can
than
fight
SR5.
about that. I don't think
It
it's.
is.
Yeah, let's not do that. It's not.
I think it's a different system altogether. But but yeah. So yeah, I think that's. I guess I didn't tell anybody what I do.
Nope.
Some YouTube videos that explain,
Yeah,
you know, the
so
entire concept of
I
Shadowrun to
do
people.
some YouTube stuff. I've for a while now I've been doing on YouTube. Primarily, what I do on YouTube is this series. My YouTube channel is called Complex Action. YouTube.com/Complex Action. You can
That's a mouthful.
yeah, the primary thing I do on there is these little like 3 to 5 minute videos called GM Screen. And the conceit there is that I take a very usually difficult to understand or a difficult to research or a very esoteric rule and try to explain it in 3 to 5 minutes with stick figure drawings to make it as simple and non-threatening as possible for people. Actually, Mr. Johnson here writes my scripts for me. Cassie's written some
I've
too.
written a lot of them.
But I started writing all of them, and then I ran out of time because I had another child, and so I said, "Please write my."
Yeah, you know,
for
I
me."
guess novella thing going aside, I'm already a published Shadowrun author because GM Screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
his name's in the credits. There's some other things I do on YouTube on that same channel but that's primarily what I do. I also have the Sixth World podcast, which is similar in feel to what we're doing right now, actually. But it's we just have me and Cassie Levitt have a different topic every other week, and we invite on somebody to help talk to us. Usually it's some kind of Shadowrun freelancer or somebody involved with Shadowrun, but not always. Sometimes we have other people on, and we just talk about Shadowrun and different topics. That's been a lot of fun. Huge amount of fun. I've learned a lot about Shadowrun just having to research those topics. So we have fun with that. It's always on Twitch here. This past year, I had the Complex Action Actual Play, which a couple people here were even on. Mr. Johnson and Damian were both a part of that.
Mm-hmm. But it's over.
And it's over now. We finished up that whole story. I know a lot of people ask me, when am I doing more actual play stuff? And I will be. I haven't figured out exactly what it will be, but it will be coming. GM Screen is. I'm doing an interesting thing. I guess I could, in a more public way, I've told patrons and everything what's happening. But GM Screen is going to be doing something really cool and interesting in this next year. I'm starting in January. It's kind of like a mix of patron thing as well as the general public will be able to do it, or at least watch. I'm going to start on a 2-month cycle. One GM Screen episode that comes out every 2 months is going to be a collaborative effort between me and patrons. So I thought it would be really cool to involve people in the process. I have a whole process that I use, and I thought, why don't I get with my patrons and present them with a list of topics, and we all agree on a topic. Everybody votes, and once I've decided on this topic, I'll get patrons of a certain level to come and join me. And we will together write a script for this. They'll be notified about what the topic is ahead of time, and they'll be able to have time to re-up their knowledge on this topic and bring some research. And we'll get together and we'll hammer out and hash out a script for a topic. Then either in the same session or another meeting, depending on time, we'll actually storyboard and draw the episodes. Together, patrons giving me ideas and feedback, and maybe this slide should look like this. Maybe let's do something cool and make it do this and stuff like that. And we'll all work on it together, and eventually it'll be published, and those people who helped me will get their names in the credits. The cool thing is that those meetings that we have to work on it together, I'm going to live stream those so that anybody can watch the process happening. So I'm really excited about that, to kind of like lift up the curtain and give people a behind-the-scenes look on how GM Screen is made, with like actual real episodes that you'll be able to, if you feel like it, sit down and watch the work being done, and then later on down the road see that episode actually be published on YouTube. So something I'm pretty excited about.
Do you intend to sleep at any point during all of that, or just?
When I had children, I kind of gave up on the idea of sleep. So.
Fair enough, but you have practice, so.
Yeah. I have slept before, if that's what you're asking. But no, yeah, it's I'm excited about all of it. I'm actually, believe it or not, Chris, I've actually cut back on stuff that I do. So
You're a machine, man.
the actual play isn't going on anymore, so that was a big thing. Yeah, that's what I've been
Rob
doing.
there has a question for Chris.
Oh,
Yes?
sorry, I wasn't looking at chat because we broke up a few minutes ago.
Yeah, Chris, when is Crit Squad coming back? The last couple episodes had me crying in the truck with the feels, is what Rigger Rob said.
That's okay. So I can answer the question, but like I gotta say, that's not the first time that I've heard someone say that. And that's again, it's I don't know. Like, Crit Squad is probably the first like storytelling thing that I've done that has like been put out in a way that other people listen to it. So I don't know. It's just really cool. Like I'm having trouble like not crying with the feels myself when people ask stuff like that. But like anyway, yeah, that's awesome that we made you cry. That's our goal. Because again, the tears of the listeners grease the wheels of production. But, end of January, beginning of February, we have a bunch of changes that are happening, like story-wise coming. And they're all good, I promise. Eric Snyder's coming back, which I'm really excited for. Especially because now I know what his new character is and sounds like, and it's that's just gonna be fun. But yeah, we're going to this time try to get ahead of things, so we're not like doing that 12 hours of work and then being like, sorry guys, it's gonna come out Saturday maybe. But yeah, so we're doing that. There's going to be some new artwork and some other stuff we're trying to get in place before we start airing new episodes. But give it a month. If you need to cry again, just listen to 14 milligrams, get his memory back one more time.
Right. Well, I think we're approaching unless people tell me something that we missed, I think we're approaching the end of our journey here. Does anybody have any final thoughts?
I had stuff that I wanted to bring up about the Arcology that's going to be going on.
Do it.
Okay, so, well, first up, I've been doing this thing called Legends of Earth Dawn, which has been, I guess, kind of gradually ramping up all year. I'm planning on doing more releases with that, as well as, well, it's been now coming out with an actual play for Earth Dawn. Been releasing a new episode every 2 weeks. We've been focusing a lot on the Trevar group lately, but there's actually multiple different parties that are happening. And one of those groups actually has a lot of the voices you recognize if you're a fan of Shadowrun podcasts, such as Opti's. We also have Rusty's Dulcet Tones, and the line developer for Earth Dawn is playing in that same group as well, Josh Harrison, who's a lot of fun to have at the table. And of course, Rainbow Smite, or Jules Watts, as you'll remember. She's one of the cast members. Lots of people are involved. It's been a lot of fun to do, and we started with one big long kind of story arc that was, I guess, our pilot arc, which was dealing with this one particular care and all the different strange problems that occurred and the various things that happened when we realized that Earth Dawn kills characters quickly. So there'll certainly be more Legends of Earth Dawn going forward, and we've had some very unexpected violent deaths, and I think those have spurred on some very good further storytelling.
If you guys have not listened to the Legends of Earth Dawn podcast, I have so much damn fun with that, and me and Rusty have a great rapport going on, and it's just amazing. It's my most fun gaming thing that I do every 2 weeks, and I love it. And you guys would absolutely love it. I should probably stop.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and we're definitely going forward with more of that. Going to be releasing more, and I guess we're releasing the actual plays every 2 weeks. We're going to start releasing one in between. Back to what we started with initially, was something called metacasts, which are just like a brief discussion about some aspect of the Earth Dawn rules, or we might delve into setting more as well now. that I feel less worried about stepping on live from Bar Save's toes because they haven't been releasing as much, unfortunately. I've been sad to see them slow down their releases, but I understand how it goes. Anyway, so that's been fun, but there's going to be some really big deal stuff happening in the actual play in episodes coming up. Major personal changes for some of the characters, horrible things happening to some of them as usual. But we're also going to be looking forward, something I haven't done yet is delving into some, I guess, sideline type stories, maybe telling some stories about what happens with the blood wasps or some of the ghouls in the area or other things that are going on. And that's going to be a lot of fun.
That's cool. Looking forward to that.
I also am looking forward to doing more crossover type stuff. I've gotten Kevin Zarnicki to agree to appear as a guest player in the actual play. And I believe we will have him playing the character Red.
Oh, nice.
I'll get the chance to burn an edge or two off of him, and I will do my best.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Stake that, Fragger.
That'll be really fun.
And on the Twitch stuff, we're doing more of that. The GM's workshop, I think, is something we haven't talked about much, where we just show up, Bobby and I, and we pick some topic and about GMing, mostly for Shadowrun so far. And we actually go through the guts of how we generate the stats or come up with the ideas. First one we did, we came up with a whole run idea start to finish. Second one, we designed a nasty nemesis, a dryad toxic blood mage.
Yeah. And the third one, we made Santa's sleigh and the Barons.
Right? It got a little silly toward the end there, but that was lots of fun.
Yeah.
Much like, I guess, drawing inspiration from Join the Anarchy, we take a lot of suggestions from the people who show up in the chat. So,
yeah, the whole point of the Game Master's Workshop, the GM's Workshop, is there's a lot of shows out there that give you tips and tricks and stuff about GMing, but it's hard to know what the actual work of prepping as a GM is unless you see it happening, and so we try to make it so you can see it happening. So we just do it.
We also share the document that we type in for any brainstorming type stuff that we do, as well as the Hero Lab files.
Yep.
I know we've had people ask us to output the PDFs, but I'm nervous about that being a copyright infringement. So,
right.
Unfortunately, it's just the Hero Lab files, which I think you can at least open with the demo, but I'm not sure.
Yep. So that's cool. We do a lot of stuff on Twitch now, so you should go to shadowcasters.network/schedule, and it'll show you anything that's coming up. We're working on the January schedule right now.
Rigger Rob, you will not be disappointed with the amount of ghoul involvement in the upcoming episodes.
Right.
I'm a big Frank fan too. He's my favorite random NPC that became important to the campaign.
Anybody else have any last minute kind of things they want people to know about, or things that we didn't talk about before we close? No?
Probably, but I can't think of any.
Okay, sorry, yes,
Right.
I'm going to use the Urban Brawl thing again.
Urban Brawl.
Yep, I've had this idea to do competitive RPG sports on Twitch. I think I teased it at the our session at Gen Con, or seminar thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something I've been working on the rules for. We've done a test play for. I know Damian's got a cool kind of Car Wars type idea he wants to do as well. Kind of along those lines, we're definitely going to be looking into some more fun shows with that. So the Shadowrun missions has taken a lot of my time and attention away from doing that, but as well as some other stuff. But it's definitely something I want to move forward with, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be looking for people who want to play Urban Brawl. As if it's like a live sporting event on Twitch. So
that's going to be really interesting to see.
That's cool.
I've only been basically listening to your ideas and everything on the sideline behind the scenes, but it seems really interesting. So I'm excited.
It should be a lot of fun. I think I'm surprised how well Shadowrun Anarchy adapts to running Urban Brawl, because I've tried to run it before, just as part of in a campaign many years ago using I think it was 3rd edition at the time, but even 5th edition now, it's got the same sort of attention to detail. It just doesn't work for running through something like that unless you abstract it in some way. But Anarchy is just perfect.
What is going on in chat right now?
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm closing out here, but what a good way to close out, because I wanted to say thank you to the chat, and there's this huge like cheer war going on in chat. People throwing bits all over the place, and I think Chummer Jim just destroyed everyone with 2,000 bits.
Although I see Schlaney there, who is my own personal hero.
Oh yes, absolutely. Let's see.
Wow,
oh man, everyone. Chummer Jim, Gentonic, lots of people are just there we go.
Yeah, it's still going.
It's still going.
Awesome.
So
Crazy
I have heard
badge.
of Rusty's. He told me about that, but I have never actually read it or worked with it. It's certainly something I should certainly be reviewing as I work on my thing. So
yeah. Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming and listening. The chat room for listening, and those of you who are listening on the podcast at home, we love you guys too. Because there's probably say that again.
I'm just exhaling vocal sounds at the crazy amounts of bits flying by. Sorry.
Right. These guys...
give it up to chat. I mean, we have, I think since we started the Shadowcasters network on Twitch, right, we've noticed like we have like this constant stream of like awesome people supporting everything that we've done since its inception. So thank you so much to chat. And it's just, they're still going. They're still donating. They're just like, here, have all this money.
Yeah, I guess one thing, speaking of the community, one thing that we didn't mention is related to all of this is the Discord, which has been a great project and venture of ours all year long. We created the Shadowcasters Network Discord to just create a place for everyone who is a fan of all the Shadowrun content creation stuff. A place for everyone to come together and just geek out over it, and for us to interact with people and for them to talk about Shadowrun. And that's been hugely successful. I mean, that's how we've met people like Chris and Wolf with Deniable Assets over there. Like that's how we all got to be able to come together, and it's been really cool. And the community has been amazing in there, more than I could have anticipated. We were hoping it would be awesome, and it's better than we were hoping. So
yeah, way better. It's been
turns out you were correct.
It's been
it's a huge community.
Yeah.
How many people are we at now? Last count was what, 1250?
Something like that.
It's not a small number.
Yeah.
I've lost track, and it was always the dream to try to bring everybody together so that people didn't have to be running off to forums all over the place to communicate with people, and it's become that and so much more. So thank you guys for making an awesome community with us.
Yeah, a couple more members and we have 1,300. It's 1,293 right now. So, yeah.
Really?
Where are those extra 7 people? We need them right now.
Yeah.
We need them right now. We need to close out 2017 with 1,300 people.
Right. But thank you guys so much. We're really.
Bobby, didn't we say we were going to take questions from the chat?
I've been taking them all along. If you see one, go ahead and tell me.
Is that what we've been doing? Sorry,
yeah.
I thought there would be like a question and answer at the end.
No, I've been taking them all along, and if anybody has a question, then throw it out there real fast before I turn this thing off. But
I know. Can we quickly discuss how we sort of, but not really, got a Shadowrun movie in Bright?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we should say that.
We did.
Because that's kind of a big deal for
we're streaming
2017.
it later.
That's
We'll
true.
stream it while we watch it.
Yeah, so me and if you're interested, so Bright happened. That's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Neither has Mr. Johnson, because we're planning on, with Opti, who cheated and saw it early. We're planning on having. I think Oz might be able to make it to this, but he's not sure yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I've held out. I haven't watched it yet either.
Yeah, we're going to be having a, in just a couple of days, actually, January 1st, that night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So if you're listening to this and you have time, come and join us, 9 p.m. Eastern time, probably for at least for the length of the show, we're gonna do a live viewing party. We're gonna actually, all press the play button at the same time, and we're gonna have like a little timestamp indicator. So if anybody joins late, they can see where we are, and we're gonna kind of watch it together, comment on it as it's happening, and then for like 30 minutes to an hour afterwards, talk about what just happened.
So if ever you've been like sitting there and been like, wow, I wish I could watch a movie with a bunch of fraggers that constantly talk through the whole damn thing, you can tune in for this.
What this movie needs is more people talking.
Right. Opti's gonna be
like. That's why I kind of want. That's kind of what I want to do. Like, I just want to hold up, like, while the movie's going, like, this is my reaction, or this is my reaction. Like, little smiley faces.
Right. IRL smileys.
Yeah.
I'm
so
hoping
everyone is aware of what I'm thinking.
I've watched Bright twice.
Oh,
I really
great.
Liked it. Yeah.
Awesome. Opti's going to be, I imagine, since he's already seen it, he's going to be the guy in there who's like, who's that person you watch a movie with where they're like, oh, you're going to like this part. This part's going to be really good.
This is going to be great. Oh, I can't believe I was so sad at this part. Oh my God.
Do that thing where you're looking at everyone else to see what their reaction is.
Right.
And that's exactly why I have not tried to put my name in that hat, because that would be me the entire movie. Just, oh my God, guys, did you see that thing in the background?
Wait for this. Wait for this.
Right. Jen Tonic asks, are we recording it for those who can't be there live? Yes, we will. It's gonna be recorded, and at least it'll be on YouTube, sort of like riff track style, I guess, so you can play it along in your own viewing. So if you can't make it, don't worry, you'll be able to see it.
Are we supposed to make goofy noises and riff tracks the whole thing a lot?
No,
But if you play Dark Side of the Moon, like, at a certain point, it'll line up.
It'll sync up.
Right. We haven't talked behind the scenes yet about what our tone is going to be, but I definitely would like to. It will be my first time watching it, so.
So
God, can you shut up for a second?
Don't talk.
So are we going to
shouldn't
pause
say
it
how
and
that
talk
one person
along
does
the way,
that
or are
one
we
thing?
just gonna...
I don't think so. We talked about doing that like halfway through, but I think logistically it'll add an extra layer of complication, because then everybody's going to have to start it again at the same time, and
yeah.
So just take
So we'll
notes.
Just save all of the big comments for the very end.
Yeah, take notes.
That just seems really boring then.
Well, you've already watched it once. It shouldn't be hard.
Well, what I'm saying is like, why would I tune in to a bunch of people not saying anything?
We are going to make. We are going.
Say things.
You are going to have commentary. So do not watch if you don't want to hear us talk about it.
Okay, so you should probably all go out and watch it first, and then come back and watch it with us.
Right. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should watch it.
That's what I was thinking too.
I'm just not going to watch it until it's time to stream it. So
I don't have time to watch it, so that's my
off the cuff responses interrupting your attempt to watch it as well.
Unbiased.
Right.
First impression.
My raw experience. All right, we're over 2 hours now, so I'm gonna go ahead and say thank you, everybody. Thank you guys for
adventure.
Thank you guys for joining us.
It's what lies ahead. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'll stop now.
and we thank you all for being here and talking to me. And I enjoy doing this every year. So and like I said earlier, it was really cool to see half of us here who are here for the first time. Oz, Wolf, Joe, Chris, good to have you.
Been great.
Thank you for
Thanks
having
for
us.
letting me crash your party.
Yeah, and everybody, thank you for making all the cool stuff that you make.
You too.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, you too.
I could have worked.
I hate you
could
all.
have handled a little bit more complex action. I think I wanted my cyber arm and my weapon focus spur.
Yeah, I mean, how long does it take one of those to make one of those? Really, just
Blood
2
magic
a week. Come on.
infiltrate all the racist organizations for humanists down there, and
Yeah. Well,
I had plans. Damn it! Sorry.
all right, I'm leaving now. So thank you guys, and I'm turning off the stream. Bye. Say bye, everybody.
Summers.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.